Hello, one. Hello, all. Welcome once again to Blaine's Escape Corner, our little corner of the internet where we get together, we talk about the things that help us escape. Today, we've had some practice runs. We've had some political practice runs, but today we're gonna fill up Daddy's sippy cup, and we are going to we're gonna dive into trans ideology. That's right. The big T in the LGBT. I'm gonna need more sake for this one. I have guests. I don't know why I have guests. Hello, guests.
Yo.
You don't know why you have guests?
You know why you have guests. We need to know what Brandon dropped. I wasn't there. I had work.
What happened? Zom 100.
Fucking, I mean.
Yeah, that's shit fucking taste right there. Jesus Christ. I wouldn't have expected worse from him, honestly. It's just anything that's good is bad. Everything that's bad is good. It's a real Armand White.
It's okay.
This is
I
literally
told him I was going to drop Helk, and he was like, "How?" I was like, "Cause ha 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 is not exactly a character that I can get behind."
I still haven't watched more anime yet. I came on here instead.
Nice.
Classic.
Nice. Well, I watched Helk just to be ready for Brandon's stream earlier today. But we're gonna have fun today. I've got notes. I've got websites. I got videos. We're going ham on this topic here. And what I start out with may not be what I finish with. Who knows?
No, we're gonna end up talking about Vivek Ramaswamy later.
We'll see.
That's what I actually want to talk about. I care more about that.
You care more about Vikram Waswamy? Why? What do you do?
No, I just like him. I think he's cool.
I disagree.
Goswami?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Oh, Vivek, not Vikram.
Is that the Asian guy?
Indian. His name is Ramaswamy. What do you think?
I think you just made the biggest mistake of your life. Saying that he's not Asian.
Nope, I don't consider Indian to just be quote-unquote Asian, because whenever I say Asian, I'm going to be talking about not Indian, not Middle Eastern, not Arab.
You may like Vivek, but he hates you for what you just said.
He identifies as Asian.
All of them do. Literally all of them do.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Aren't they literally on the continent of Asia?
Subcontinent.
Yeah, I don't care.
Subcontinent? When you
Are you trying to apply their
subhuman,
map, Michael? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what we're getting into? Are you going to call them subhuman?
No, but I grew up.
You said they're on a subcontinent.
Couldn't talk about that dude mad because he couldn't get into the women's section. We're going to be touching on that topic. If you have a specific story you want us to look at, we could definitely do that. Wait, why do you like Vikram Ramaswamy?
Shawarma?
I like his policy positions. I like that he's going at the unions tonight. I like that he's straightforward in ways political people usually aren't, you know?
Let's see.
Nico, you're not Asian either.
What's the
political...
Because you're not Chinese, Japanese, so you're not Asian.
Chinese.
Michael, you're echoing because you're eating food at the same time. Shut up.
Look, I'm just trying to have some good times here.
No, we're not having any good times today.
Can we mute Michael?
Yeah, I can do that.
Because he's just gonna keep eating he's gonna keep eating his chips loudly.
Aren't you the one who was eating chips loudly?
I did that twice.
I remember because I was editing a video and I was like, damn, I was complaining about a guy eating chips loudly. And now here I got Serranos eating shit loudly.
I'm surprised that hasn't changed yet because he's actually up in more aggregate polls. Ramaswamy's actually above DeSantis.
Aggregate polls? Oh.
Yeah, look at the RCP average. I'm pretty sure he was actually above him.
Republican nominee.
There's Indians and then there's Injuns. This is the difference.
You will likely get triggered. Well, if you get triggered, definitely feel free to jump on.
Yeah,
and
come on.
express your triggering. I will allow it. 538 has him still behind DeSantis. Ramaswamy. Obviously, he's above Pence. Our refugee from the country north of the Black Sea finally got a job. Primary polls. I don't know. I'm sure he could probably move up a little bit. He's playing the entrepreneur angle, right? The outsider angle. That plays well with a crowd.
Oh, I guess it must have been like a week or two ago that he was above DeSantis in those polls you just looked at the first time. That's probably what it was then, since he's much closer there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, probably moved 1 cent up like yesterday or something.
Moved down, then up, and down again.
At this point, it doesn't really matter, but
Spray hello to L to M.
Trump did say he was not going to do any debates, and there's no reason for him to do so because he's the by far front runner.
Ooh, I don't like this. The Charlotte Observer. We'll look at that too.
What do you want to start with?
I want to start with postmodernism because when I was a kid in high school, postmodernism was like all we talked about in our like English classes, in our media classes. Like everything we did was like postmodernism is so interesting because of the way that it like breaks down meaning. And like my favorite part of postmodernism was the technology part. That the only way that we know something is because it's been recorded. I think that one is the most interesting part. Airborne toxic event in the book White Noise is very, very key to like what I think about this, where something happens, a dude farts, and it's reported as a fart, and then it's reported as noxious fumes, and it's and you just the way that you report and you write and you put that out into the world suddenly starts changing how people look and view and see what that thing is. Like I thought that was the most interesting part. But what I thought was interesting and just kind of a fun way to look at the world with postmodernism, people actually take to heart and want to like believe fully that like things don't have meaning outside of what humans grant it. And it's very, I find it strange because
that's just clearly not true.
Right. It leads us to the stupid takes like
it also
the
seems
Vox
more
Aqua take, right?
I was gonna say it would seem more closely connected to the fact that people describing that humans are purely unique and have meaning when that wouldn't seem to be what they would support otherwise. Right?
Right. It's almost taking the fact that we as humans applying our lens to things removes the fact that there is a thing that we're still looking at. There's a thing still at the heart of it, right? If no one else has seen this, Vosh is talking to this guy who is saying that like at its core, water is H2O. There is a thing there that is water. And Vosh's response is, but if you go across the border, it's called agua. And it's the dumbest thing because what he's not grasping is that there is a base underlying truth to everything, that there is a thing that we're trying to describe and trying to understand. And the postmodernist rejects its existence and says that it's only there because that's what we've done. The periodic table only exists because that's useful to us. Like you bring utility out of something and it doesn't exist beyond that.
If we run into aliens that are like just straight up, we run into aliens that are like some kind of living organism with the same molecule structure as us, they're going to have a periodic table. They're going to have a periodic table, I guarantee you.
Yeah, and it'll look very similar to ours.
There's probably more. Considering their spacefaring civilization that comes from way, they probably have a way bigger one than ours. They probably
it's either way bigger. It could be like oriented different. Like I'm not saying you have to orient them that way, but
the actual molecules they find are
the
going
things
to be the
they do still have a meaning.
Yeah, like they could be Japanese and have the numbers backwards.
Yeah, Derrida for the deconstruction and everything.
It's
a fun exercise to think of, oh, why do we know this? Why do we think this? Why is this what we think? But the problem is, it's like a nihilist who like digs into nihilism and just is like, oh, the world is meaningless and everything sucks and I don't want to be here anymore. you got to pull them out of it. Like you can be a postmodernist and like dig down into like how meaningless certain things are, but you have to come out of it with, oh, but there is meaning somewhere. There is things that are universal truths. There are things that exist. We don't just we don't just stay in the hole of postmodernist, but a lot of people do.
There's people that get wrapped up in academia and just don't do anything else. They don't actually do something useful with their lives. They don't produce value.
And not even just academia, because I think academia definitely perpetuates it. Because
I mean, this is like this is kind of the center of it, is like because they
does.
literally do just think. Yeah.
And then the problem is that the person who went to academia, got their degree, is now the person who's the front end manager at the Target in your town, right? Like you start to spread those thoughts and those theories everywhere, and so now you've got them teaching kids who are like getting their first job that like, oh yeah, life is meaningless. It's only what we define it to be. Blah blah blah. The reason your life sucks is because we don't have $15 an hour minimum wage, and it's like, well,
these people basically come in with an empty head or just like already swayed values, and then they taken all this stuff from their professors, all this gunk, and they just take it and they think they're so much smarter now because they learned it in college.
Mm-hmm. And fuck, where'd my train go? Where'd my choo-choo go?
Your train of thought's gone.
Yeah, you threw a train tie on it. You broke
Only
the
took
tracks.
12 seconds.
Yeah,
Blaine
we're
is
12
gone.
minutes in and I'm gone. I lost it.
He destroyed all his tabs.
No, I've got my tabs up still. But just that idea of like, oh, not everything's meaningless, and here's like some ways that we can fix it. And it's like at the end of the day, those things don't fix it. You're still gonna be where you're at, which I think will lead us more into what we're doing as well. Ooh, nightmares. I like that.
There's a
We'll
couple
get into
more
that.
tablets or tabs I got for you.
So I was gonna start with that PF Young
Video.
Yeah, the two videos that you posted.
I
I'm
don't
not
think
sure
the
how
first one's as
useful the
relevant.
first one
No.
helps. But I think I covered most of it, like as far as postmodernism goes,
Yeah.
and that's how people look and think.
It's different ways to describe it because a lot of postmodernist thinking comes from materialist thinking of communists, and that's just like it existed before people called themselves communists as well, of course, because it was back. This kind of thought was back from ancient Greece, we know as well.
Right.
But it's just continued evolution of that line of thought.
Yeah, the combining of postmodernism with capital is it's a strange thing, because I feel like at its heart you have to understand the underlying truth behind things in order to get like Marx. But if you do, I think it just proves that like most people that are communists or Marxists or whatever sort of lefty they want to pretend
They just see the way they see the world. It reinforces their idea.
Yeah, they've heard this is the idea of communism, of getting rid of getting rid of the profit incentive, spreading this thing around, but they don't really like. I don't know if they've read Marx. Like I don't know if they've read Das Kapital.
Well, it doesn't really matter if they've read it, because the thing is, you've never seen what it does in practice. They of the implementations that have happened, they just ignore it. Just like, yeah, just whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll do it right.
Yeah.
Because, it's correct. It's going to be good. They see it as a pure good thing because it's like capitalism isn't evil. Because of just a natural order of just how an economic structure kind of develops after, I guess, just feudalism. Yeah.
Yeah. The capitalist structure exists because it works and it keeps working.
And yeah, it's just that simplest. That's why it's a thing. Is just that is what the simplest way we can describe economic transaction between people that have stuff and want to trade between each other.
Well, exactly. And I laugh because like I bring up the $15 minimum wage because we had a bunch of people at a parade nearby recently that were trying to get
for 15. Yeah.
15 in our city, and I don't know of a job that isn't offering at least 15 right now.
Right?
Because nobody wants to work. Like I could go to McDonald's and get a part-time McDonald's job for $22 an hour. It's insane.
Yeah, it's even higher
what you
than
can
here.
get paid. And now that's a part timer, which means like a minor could go work that job, and to have people fighting to try to get a higher minimum wage is like it's
That's not even
naturally
going to do anything.
coming up. It's already naturally coming up. And if I gave you more money, you'd still be just as poor because you suck with money. It's not the fact that you don't make enough money.
I mean, yeah, at this point, like raising a minimum wage in most cities like that would have zero effect. It wouldn't do anything.
It changes all of the prices and just shifts it up. It may fix things for like a
I mean,
year.
also prices wouldn't actually change because
everything
the
sort
fact
of
is
goes-
everybody already makes above that. Yeah, like everybody's already above the minimum wage. It's not going to actually raise anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your McDonald's crew, Alex Moore, is like 17. We have cart pushers at 15. Yeah, and that's just regional differences, I'm sure.
Michael, your mic is just like all echoes. It's only echoes today.
Okay,
Hashtag.
I'm changing. I'm switching to my laptop. I was on my phone, but let me just say one thing.
Go ahead.
I found out that in my 3 to 4 day, in my 4-day vacation, someone got hired as a busser and quit in that 3 days, and I think that's really funny.
That happens all the time, Michael. You
Yeah,
just haven't
bussers
worked-
always
You
be
just
quitting.
haven't
No, but,
worked
like-
that much.
He had a nervous breakdown or some shit. It was really.
Oh no,
Michael, I've had people quit like within a week multiple times.
Yeah, no, I know that has
Like,
happened
this
before, but it
happens.
hasn't happened in front of me. And like,
It is-
that
it is
But you
pretty
said
funny.
you said it happened during your break. It wasn't in front of you.
I know, but like, I heard about it. Okay, today, and it was funny. Okay, let me just live my life. It's my life.
Dude, I've
It's
hired
never-
people, and I had one that lasted 3 hours, and they had an entire like van of deliverables still to finish, and they just
What the
just
fuck?
walked away. And it was like, what?
That's what I hate. You gotta at least finish your shift if there's no one else covering you.
No, because they don't have the responsibility of that. Because again, the idea of the job and everything kind of goes back to that communist idea of it's all just for the owner. They're just taking all my money, which is not even.
I mean, it's
Not even
funny,
how it
but no,
works.
If
it's
they
not
were
how
just
it
giving
works.
profit off your labor, I mean, they wouldn't be rich. How else do they get
Like-
rich?
You have to explain it to them. Just you are providing value. That is why you were hired. You're receiving money for the value you provide for the product.
Okay, switch over.
Yeah, I'm switching over right now.
Alright.
Let me
I'm
just.
gonna start this so that we can, because this is gonna touch on some of the things that I want to get into as we go through. So we're gonna watch this video, and then we're gonna get into definitions that the Transgender Law Center and transequality.org and all of them give themselves, the issues they fight for.
Yeah,
what
they're
it
actual
means-
legal issues they want.
Yeah, what it means to be a good ally, all of that. Then we'll get into the personal. We'll talk about gender dysphoria, what that means, how the idea of trans medicalism is like forcing acceptance, both internal and external. And then finally, we'll get into the interactions with people outside of themselves. Like legal protections, they always are talking about sports, bathrooms, healthcare, that kind of thing that affect sort of taxes and law, and get into that. And we will ride this awesome train. You going for a walk?
Yeah, it's nice
fun.
outside.
It is nice outside right now. You're not gonna go have fun on your walk?
No.
Bring your weighted vest.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
20?
Yeah, do 20. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It'd be
I
fun.
used to do 40.
Well, then do
But
30.
I'm not gonna.
How do you feel today?
Yeah, I wanna work up.
Give me a kiss.
You need this.
Mwah. Love you. All right.
I think it's fair to say that Matt Walsh has done more than any.
Context. This is PF Young. He is a bigger channel than me, smaller channel in the big scheme, just under 4,000 subs. He has debated Vosh in the past. He has some interesting takes here that I disagree with, but we'll cover that as we go.
Individual in pushing back against gender ideology, the extreme nonsense on
Stay
the left,
hydrated.
and making opposition to it mainstream. What is a woman
Make it a little
was
stronger.
a phenomenal. documentary. Phenomenal. And if you go back and watch it, you'll
More?
realize that the reason it was so good is because all Matt Walsh did was sit back and ask questions and let other people talk and reveal their own nonsense to everyone. And that's a very good strategy that Matt Walsh should employ more, because as soon as he opens his mouth, he's prone to saying very dumb things. And I think anyone who's seriously interested in creating a coalition of regular people to push back against the far left gender ideology nonsense, we need to ditch Matt Walsh, because he says things that make no sense. For example,
They're not imaginary fan site. They're virtual. Get it
I
right.
have to say the worst part about his documentary is whenever he talks.
The worst part of anything Matt Walsh has done is when Matt Walsh talks. He is one of the most condescending sounding people ever, which is part of why I'm titling this Reaction To, because I think the way that people talk about their beliefs about trans things is as big of a problem as the trans movement sometimes. Like, you can have the best intentions, but if you end up, just sucking ass on your delivery, it doesn't really amount to much.
Well, I mean, why do they always suck at their delivery?
Why do they
Are
always suck
you
at their
talking about
delivery?
which side? Are you talking about anti or pro?
Anti.
both?
The reason
Anti.
anti sucks at their delivery is because they focus on one thing, typically in their arguments, and they focus on the externals. They focus on, like the sports thing. This is not how, this is they have an advantage. It's like an unfair advantage when it comes to sports, or bathrooms are safe spaces for women. And they focus on the sort of the back half of what all of the movement says, and there's not a lot of people speaking to the, like, why do we have people that would rather be dead? Like, why do they exist? And I get it. There needs to be sort of a two-pronged approach, because you can't let women lose their safe spaces, but you can't just say, oh, these results that you're looking for, you shouldn't get those. You have to kind of dive down into why. Why shouldn't you get those? Why is that important? And I think
a lot of
the
it seems like a
discourse-
bullshit talking point as well, because like the pro trans in sports. Why do they need to play sports against people that they're obviously better than or have a natural advantage against? Like, that's the reason why people fight back against, say, hey, no, they shouldn't be in sports, because they're pushing for them to be in sports and they're angry that they're not allowed to be. Yeah, that's so why are you talking about this all the time? Well, it's because you're putting trans people in sports. That's why.
Yep. And there's a new swimming open division now that is going to allow trans people to compete.
You mean
It's
men?
like, well, what about just being in the normal swimming? Like, I'm pretty sure that
the
there's
area
a lot
where it
of
becomes a problem is when a woman takes male hormones. That's when it actually becomes a problem. I think the cleanest solution is just to throw all of them in the boys division. And it's like, if you can't compete, well, sorry, that's how it goes. And you can have your own little side competition, but there's going to be almost nobody competing.
I mean, you can if you
Yeah,
just
like,
wanna
as I
swim,
said,
go
if
swim
you-
in a pool.
Yeah, if you want to swim, but the thing is, because of your specific nature, when you're taking hormones, it's going to affect your body.
Mhm.
It's going to affect your body. It's going to make you either disadvantaged or advantaged.
Depending on who you're comparing to, yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it is. Like,
here's him bitching to Jordan Peterson about how body modification for adults in general should be illegal.
I'm inclined to agree with you on that front, but I want to push back. We might as well talk about this. What do you think of breast enhancement?
Yeah, I think, and it would be, you'd have to draw some distinctions, and you'd end up with maybe some harder cases than what you have with kids, because with kids, it should be pretty simple. They can't consent to this, leave them alone. Theoretically, adults can, so that's what makes it slightly more complicated. But I would, I think that there are some clear distinctions that we can note right off the bat. So, for example, breast enhancement, the idea is you're enhancing something that you already have. Whether you're enhancing it for the better or the worst is like a question of taste, I suppose. Personally, morally, I would not want most forms of plastic surgery, unless we're talking about, reconstructive, you're disfigured from a fire or something like that. But
Sure, personally and morally, I think that's perfectly right and fair enough. I could probably even agree with that, personally and morally. not legally.
But I do think that there's a real distinction between plastic surgery, which is meant to enhance body parts that you already possess, and plastic surgery that is meant to remove healthy body parts or create a body part that you don't possess and could never possess. The fact that somebody wants to have their healthy body parts removed is all the evidence you need to begin with. This person is mentally unwell, and they do need help, but it's not that kind of help. They need psych.
Okay, so what he's saying is the legislation can't stop at the kids. It should be illegal for adults to engage in body modification. So people who have horns on their heads and all that weird shit, which I totally agree, if you're willing to do that to your face or in your head, that's an indication that you're mentally unwell. Matt Walsh is saying a federal ban on performing gender-affirming care surgeries or whatever on children, that wouldn't be enough. We have to take it to the next level, including adults.
You know, for me,
and here's where we get to, this may be a distinction without a difference for a lot of people. We'll cover it potentially more when we talk about the healthcare side of the issues page. But for me, the difference is I need to do a surgery to change my physical appearance, because if I don't, I hate myself so much I want to commit suicide, and I think doing this would be fun. The end result is still a surgery that's occurring, but it's that motivation behind the surgery that I think is kind of far more important for us to look at and be sort of critical of. That if we're, because the breast enhancement, right? I would say that a breast enhancement purely for the purpose of helping somebody who thinks that their boobs aren't big enough and wants to kill themselves is still missing the point. Because if you do that, where does it end? How big is big enough? You're still going to be sad. You're still not going to look right. You're still going to hate it. You're not addressing the actual underlying fundamental issue that you're dealing with. You're just sort of putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone at the end of the day. Whereas if you say, oh, these would be fun to have, that mentality, that attitude going in, I think that's where the harm comes in. And I don't know how you really judge that externally outside of just having, a wall of regulation between somebody and being able to get a thing. But it's sort of that whole
that'd be under
difference of
reconstructive
motivation, I think, is the
Vertex.
issue.
That would be different, yeah. Like, I don't think anybody's against reconstructive surgeries.
Well,
like,
and
I would like you, yeah.
I don't think that, at least, okay, I've had 6 different women in my life that have had mastectomies due to breast cancer. Some have gotten implants, some have not gotten implants. Those that haven't gotten implants did so because they were like, you know what, I'm typically an older woman, and I'm not really, it's not important to me anymore. The ones that did get breast implants, the reasoning was as simple as, I want to keep all my same clothes and bras and everything to, it just would be more fun. I used to having them there. It'd be weird if they weren't there. And that does go to sort of that reconstruction in sort of like, you got a car crash that's horrible, or you have some other kind of accident that sort of maims somebody. I would call that sort of like part of the bringing them back to health side of things. Like you're fixing the problem. The problem is
there's clear
mashed in.
delineation. I think there's very clear delineation. You're not changing it from what it was originally. Like if you're doing a reconstruction, you're trying to restore it to what it was.
When you hear restriction ban, yeah, I am not in favor of the idea that we ban it altogether. Although I think it would sort of not be an occurrence. Like it would be a weird thing. Like when you used to read stories about like, oh, the so-and-so got all these surgeries to make themselves look like Barbie or something like that. It was always just kind of this one-off weird thing that you'd be like, oh, look, there's a story about some strange human. I think if you focus in on that motivations and solving that problem for people, that the entire medical issue, I guess we'll call it, kind of goes away. So like a car being repaired has to be brought back to spec or as close as possible. Yeah, similar idea. You're not inherently like it is a breast augmentation at that point because it's an implant, but it's not really an augmentation. Like you wouldn't call, like if someone had their face cut in half and you stitched their face back together and it grew and you sort of grafted some butt skin on there so that it, looked more natural, you wouldn't say that person got face augmentation surgery, right? That's not really plastic surgery of the face. Unless they're in there like grinding their cheekbones or shaving stuff around to sort of make them look better than they did before. Then you might be like, I mean, is that sort of, suck some fat out while you're taking my appendix? Or like, what are we doing there? The lady looks like a leopard surgery. Yeah, I think a lot of that is, I don't know how you would have a ban on it, but again, I think if we focus as a community, as a
Michael, why are you washing the dishes again?
Yeah, what is he
I'm
doing?
washing the dishes, man. I'm just trying to make dinner.
Why are you have the mic on then? What are you doing?
Man, fuck you. I think people like listening to ASMR.
No.
They just like
It's called
ASMR dishes
ASMR.
in the background.
People like it, okay?
Why is always plates? It's just like you're like putting plates on tables.
Yeah,
It's like all you're doing.
that's what I was doing.
How many plates do you need? How many meals are you
Well,
eating?
no. So what happened was I thought I needed a plate, and then I was like, no, I don't need this plate, so I put it away. And then that was me re-grabbing the plate because I did need it.
God, Michael, you're impossible.
So you would say no to Pelosi's Botox
All right,
treatment?
I'm gonna mute myself.
If
Eat
I'm
shit.
paying for it, then yes. I'm pretty sure it was my tax dollars paying for Botox. I want that out of the budget. Can we?
Yeah,
we
would I
remove
really
that
care
from-
if we just banned plastic surgeries in general? A little bit. Those doctors would go hungry. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it is. It is sort of. I'm of two minds, right? Like I really don't think that it's an issue if the person getting it is just doing it for fun or excitement or it's interesting.
And a
sort
big
of-
thing for me too
Like
is
the reason you get a tattoo, people get tattoos because like, oh, it looks like fun, it'll be interesting. But if someone gets a tattoo because they're like, oh, I'll kill myself if I can't be a part of this gang, and I need this tattoo to be a part of this gang, like we'd say that's a problem. That's not a good tattoo, you know?
I mean, for me, a lot of it as well is the plastic surgeons need practice on people that are less important, that are willing to give up money to pay for the services rather than just because they need it.
So all the reconstructive surgeons can get practice on the people that just want a lip
Like,
plump.
Nose jobs, random garbage, it's just getting more practice doing that's actually pretty important to being more skilled just in general. Because I mean, you see some amazing jobs like reconstructively, like cleft lips and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like those people didn't just do only that. That's not like the only plastic surgery they've done. They've done thousands of other ones.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
We've had some friends with kids that have cleft palates, and I mean the cleft palate, it sounds like a cosmetic thing, but most kids that have a cleft palate also have like a weakness in the roof of their mouth or a straight up hole in the roof of their mouth that makes it so they can't like actually suck on things and like their sinuses can get infected. So
they have
it's
a lot of
definitely
issues,
like a for the
yes.
life of the child kind of thing there. So
Yes, repairing cleft palates are very, very valuable.
it feels like cosmetic, but I would call that much more medically necessary.
Protecting kids from this is the entry point. It's the first thing we should do because they are the least able to protect themselves. And as a society, we're called by God to protect our children. But as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't end there. Even if they pass a federal law, kind of the final thing on the political end when it comes to kid transitioning, now we start talking about federal bans on child castration mutilation across the country. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Let's just say that it did. I don't think that is the end of the conversation at all when it comes to this, because I also think that adults are victims as well. Like I don't think that doctors should be able to do this to anyone.
The reason it is fair to say that the gender surgeries going on in children are satanic and degenerate and disgusting is precisely because it's children. It's a totally different thing if it's an adult. And what a complete political waste of time to say, even if we got what we want, which is federal protection for children, sure, I'm for that. That's not far enough. We need to stop it for adults. We need to draw these arbitrary lines now for adults. And now we have to determine, oh, well, you can enhance body parts you already have, but you can't add new ones, which means horns and all that crazy shit you see, that needs to be illegal. It's like, look, again, I think those people are mentally ill. I would not recommend it.
Doesn't the donut head go away?
Like,
Isn't
why
it just
are
saline?
why
I
are we
think you just
actually?
absorb it.
I don't even know what he's trying to say. There's like, wait, are we saying it's a bad thing that we're gonna ban like horns being added to people's like? Is there really any benefit? Is there any significant amount of people that care that much?
Is it
like,
helpful to
like,
society
there's a
other than
tiny-
war?
There's like the tiny community that like it. And it's like, I don't think that's a good enough reason to not ban gender surgeries and gender like genital mutilation.
I think it is one of those things where
If he wants to have a
the-
slightly
the
different argument, I can
issue-
understand his idea, but like specifically pointing to that doesn't make any sense to me.
So the issue breaks down, and like maybe the closest comparison would be the tongue modification, where people get their tongue split so they get like a snake tongue. Your tongue still works and you can still talk. So even though you've sort of like messed up your tongue, it still does what a tongue should do.
Also, it's really sexy.
Getting horns, getting
Yeah, that's right.
scales.
I
Getting
speak for the
piercing.
Michaels.
He does.
Those things are sort of like I've got cousins whose ears will never look the same, but they can still hear at the end of the day. Whereas like gender surgery is literally saying, "Oh, let's make your penis not work anymore." Like the argument of like if you go into a doctor and say cut off my finger, they'll tell you no, and tell you to leave. But if you go into a doctor and say cut off my penis, they'll whack it and take you through all that thing. Where it's like you're removing functionality from the body, and it's sort of it's not what we should be having our doctors do. And the argument there is that you're doing this so that they don't die, because if you don't do this, they have high suicidal ideation and they could kill themselves. And that's where the argument always comes back to. And it's like, then let's solve the problem there. Because if someone came in and was like, I'm going to kill myself if you don't give me bigger boobs, I still say we don't give them bigger boobs. We figure out why they hate themselves so much and try to reinstill that feeling of self-worth, right? What about circumcision yet then?
Ban it.
Yeah, that's you can let the Jews still have that one. Circumcision, much like eating or not eating pork, sort of a thing of its time and not necessarily important. You look at Old Testament, and like someone trying to become a Jew in the Old Testament would have to get circumcised, but even then they wouldn't always have to. That was just a requirement that some people had.
You could still get
But
it
once
as
we
an
get-
adult.
But once we get into the New Testament, there's specifically call-outs of don't make the Gentiles circumcised. Like it literally says that in the New Testament. So now it's all about looks, I guess. Mole skin tag removal for non-cancerous. You have to remove it in order to know if it's cancerous or not. I don't know how you do that. Every time I've heard about skin tags or moles with people in my family, you always have to have it removed so they can send it in for a little biopsy.
Never thought about that. That's
I
interesting.
liked it. I like Veritax here with the real questions. Again, if I had a mole that every single time I went to do a thing, it would like catch and like kind of hurt, or if I had a skin tag that always got caught on like if I was a puka shell wearing necklace guy and it always got caught on like a skin tag, get it out of here. That thing's that thing's not supposed to be there. But again, you're not really removing a functionality of the body there.
Yeah, I
You're
would
not
think that
really-
that wouldn't really have any effect whatsoever in terms of like removal.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a thing that is that groundbreaking.
It's
Like
obviously
nobody go. Well, okay, I'm
I
gonna
would
say
say
nobody, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like, I hate this mole on my face. I want to get rid of it because I'll kill myself if I don't. Like, I'm sure that person does exist, but how many people are out there that are like, oh, if I don't get rid of this mole, I'd rather be dead. Like, I don't know that
I
that's
don't
a huge
really
thing to
care
worry
about people threatening their own life with like I need this done. I'm not really concerned about that at all. Like you can say it's an argument for like how much they need it, like how much they perceive their need of it, but I'm not swayed by that.
Our chat room is sitting at a table discussing this because of the restaurant conversation. Yeah, exactly. With Michael in the kitchen, who knows? He's in there fighting a rat rather than serving us food.
He's still touching plates all the time. It's just all plates. Just ding,
Yeah,
ding.
playing the plates. Banning circumcision is tough because it might violate religious expression. Yes, and that's the argument, I guess, to allow it would have to come down to, while you are changing the penis, you're not removing its function at the end of the day. Dad
It's not
removed
like it
his as a
becomes,
wedding
you know-
vow. Oh, I just pictured him like on wedding day, like reaching in, just ripping.
How many millions of dollars would you see somebody for if they cut off your kid's wee wee?
Oh, I don't know.
How much would that be
is a life
worth?
worth?
Yeah, how much would that be worth if like just the tip of the
not
wee wee
enough.
got cut off?
I don't think there's a dollar amount. All the Bitcoin, probably. That's how
5
much.
million?
Yeah.
That good enough? 5 million, Blaine? Would you settle for 5 million?
Would I settle for a 5?
Yeah, your son is
Probably
wee wee
not.
got
You
cut
got to
off.
think about how do we calculate life cost? 1 second.
How are we gonna calculate life cost without a calculator?
Yeah. 20 million.
You want 20? Why is it 80 every year?
Yeah.
Every year was assumed life. You want how much did you want? 250,000 every
250,000
year.
per year.
Plus medical expenses.
Force Yamcha wearers to get an exception to cut off the hood. Leave us non-Torah readers alone. All right.
I would not want to be around someone like that. But I'm not going to make it a political point to legislate against that. It is a waste of goddamn time.
Right. So you basically think that the right to perform sex transition surgery should be permanently removed from the domain of what physicians are allowed to offer as service.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with that.
And
I
that's
think that's right. Yeah.
There's no way to legislate that properly.
Also
There's
pause.
no way to do that without.
How
I
is there
think-
not a way to legislate that? This is where I started to disagree with.
I
PF.
have something before, honestly before that. Is Peterson agreeing with this is actually, some people have said just, oh, well, how could Peterson say this is wholly against? This is very much in line with what Peterson believes now. Like, he's very much changed his views from many years ago before he got into any of this political, like deep political stuff.
Because again, we'll get into it later, but I think just the desire to change is the problem. Is the thing that we need to solve. Is this idea that you have something that is motivating you and you think that this is the answer when this is not the answer. This is just a Band-Aid on a broken bone. So while I understand that legislating against it is kind of a losing battle, given that there is not a real coalition that could fight against it. I get that that's a losing battle, politically and legally. I do think that should be what the stance is, as just a rule, basically.
I don't know
Favorite
why
first
we
qu-
wouldn't talk about it morally, though. Like, it's not like they're going to be literally pushing as like, okay, we are going to ban all, like I guess he said just like ban
Well, and-
specifically
and
gender
The
surgeries.
easy way to ban it is to ban removal or dismemberment of functioning body parts. What surgery is important, necessary, or useful that someone would get that would violate that?
Would a nose job would a nose job be close enough that you consider that to be or mutilation?
I mean, as long
Because
as
you're
you
gonna,
still have a nose at
oftentimes
the
you
end
are
of the
going to be
day.
cutting out parts of the nose, right?
Haircuts and shaves. Captain Pedantic over there. You've been on your game there, Veritax. That one, not so much.
Yeah, that's obvious. Obviously,
I'm
doesn't
pretty
apply,
sure
like,
your hair's dead like as soon as it's like so many inches away. So maybe we'll just have that. Plastic surgery would fall in that category. But what plastic surgery removes the functionality of the item?
The fun kind.
Won't people just go to Mexico for surgery? Yeah. Mexico, Canada. I mean, anything you legislate in one country, people can leave your country and go do
yeah, I
it
wouldn't
somewhere
be
else.
worried
That's
about
not
somebody doing it in a different country. No, that's not my concern.
That's not something you have control over. It's not important. What about weird embedded piercings then? Oh, like the studs where they just kind of like stick a stud in the skin.
No,
like in
ban
the
those.
forehead?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that idea. Thank you, Veritax. You brought that up and you reminded me that needs to happen as well.
I still don't see that removing a function, right?
So many
Yeah,
good
wow,
women. So many good women. Just never again. Never. Not possible. Just they put a stud in their head. And it's like, oh.
Well, now you got another hole. You might
Another
want the
hole
surgery
that's
to
never
make my
gonna be
penis 10
filled.
inches. That sounds like adding functionality to me.
I think that should be federally mandated as
Mandated surgery.
mandated surgery. Just like Canada has made, we have the
Yeah.
penis enlarger pills.
No, Canada has the, oh, is your dick too small? Why don't you die? How about death?
Don't feel comfortable in your body? Kill your.
Kill your body.
Cybernetic does get into a weird place where, and that's why I put functionality in there, because I think you're maintaining functionality. Gastric bypass surgery.
Michael, the only thing you've added to this entire stream is your plates.
Fuck you, I'm trying to eat and the plate's uneven.
Why is your plate uneven?
You're
Where did you
not,
get it?
you're not
Big Lots?
talking.
Gastric bypass surgery. I think the bigger issue with gastric bypass surgery is similar to the trans issue, where it's a surgery that forces you to not be able to eat as much in a single sitting, but it doesn't solve the issue of you not eating as much, of you changing your mindset around food. Now, are there people that get gastric bypass and change their mindset and do everything they need to do and their life is great? Yes. Are there people that get gastric bypass and they turn out like Wings or Boogie or any of these other giant people who they're like, well, I'll just eat till I'm full on the new tiny stomach and then make that new tiny stomach just as fat and big as their old stomach was. So I think you Ugh. I think that is still an issue. I think that's still, I'm coming at this from more of the philosophical aspect and not necessarily the legal aspect, because I think legally I don't see like an issue with gastric bypass, because you do still have a stomach. It is still able to do stomachy things. You do still have a digestive system. You're sort of shrinking it. And so you're removing the volume functionality, but you still have the functionality of being able to digest food. So I think you're still safe to get it, but I would argue that you need to still look at like the motivation behind getting it.
Michael, just
What?
mute your mic.
No, I'm eating.
You're not talking. Yeah, just mute your mic.
No.
You know, a handful of women that had good lives after the bypass. That's crazy. I wonder if we just have different. Because I'm not even talking just. I'm using Boogie and Wings just because we all know those people. But people in my own life who have had gastric just rarely come out on the other end with losing any weight.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
also making other forms of body modification illegal. This is completely at odds with people like Abigail Schreier or J.K. Rowling or Joe Rogan, who are against gender ideology, but are not against adults transitioning, so you lose all them. And you lose a huge chunk of people who are needed to push back against this ideology. And then you just have the government interfering between adults and their doctors, not children and their doctors, because the government should interfere with that, because it's, again, satanic and degenerate and disgusting that adults would perform irreversible surgeries on children. That's disgusting. But when it comes to adults, you can only legislate so much, and this is a losing issue. And all this will do is allow the gender ideologues to point to that and say, oh, look, they really do want to stop adults from transitioning. It never was about the kids. He says it. It wasn't about the kids. And here's the other goofy shit that
I'm pretty sure that the reason it's about the kids is because there is a problem with the whole ideology that we'll get to. Where the night is
and
young.
also he wants to. He's going very hard. Like I mentioned in Discord, he's very hard calling it satanic. But why is it a bad thing? Just because they don't consent? Is it like actually bad? Like is it? What's the deal
if
there?
your argument is that it's okay for adults, then how do you argue that it's bad for kids? The argument has to come from the fact that you could get a false positive with a kid. Because if you think it's good for adults, then you'd think it would be good for kids who have gender dysphoria. But if you don't think it's good for kids, then you would have to think that it's also not good for adults. I get the losing argument idea of like, this is sort of a legal stance that you don't have enough of a coalition to fight for. But I think you can still have a philosophical stance that says, I don't think this is a good, safe, healthy anything for anyone to do.
Yeah, like that seems to be what he want to say, but he doesn't say it. He says, no, you can't argue against this because people disagree with you. I don't understand that whatsoever. That's absolutely when you should be arguing, is when people disagree with you. There's no reason to argue something that's very popular, like not kicking puppies is not a political stance anybody takes, because who would disagree with that? There's very few people.
You get the contrarians that are like, it's puppy kicking time. Like,
I mean, you'd be throwing a pointless. I mean, obviously that's an extreme example, but doing that with something that is just non-controversial and trying to make it a political point is just weird and pointless. Yeah. You would want to be talking about stuff that people disagree with to try to change their mind on something. Because like somebody like Joe Rogan, you would want to argue that, yes, this is just a purely negative thing we have, and we'll back it up with this, and this, that there isn't good stuff that comes out of mutilating genitals for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if people see something incorrect with themselves, I don't think that's the correct way.
In the number of people that don't get bottom surgery, in the
yeah,
number
it's
of
like
people
over
that
80%.
do, and you see like their like tore up arm, and like it's just like, oh, you're destroying two things now. You're wrecking the way your arm looks forever, and you're making like a penis that isn't a penis.
Yeah.
I think is just, again, evidence of Matt Walsh's incompetence and moral weakness.
Michael Knowles recently got in trouble for some
so
words he
honestly,
uttered in relationship to eradicate, and that's
it's not a moral weakness.
You want to walk us through that particular brouhaha?
Yeah, he of course it was the left, and I think usually starts with Media Matters. I'm not sure who started it this time, but someone pulled a clip from his, I think it was a CPAC speech. I believe his exact words are, we need to, kind of a similar message to what I was just talking about. Yes, we want to protect the kids. That's our first goal, but it doesn't end there. Trans ideology itself, we have to defeat. And so we want to eradicate trans ideology from public life. And so it's the ideology that we're attacking.
So, as you know, that's not what was said. Michael Knowles said we need to eradicate trans.
Also, this is stupid.
This
is like stupid for him to try to call him out on this.
Then for the good of society, and especially for the good of the poor people who have fallen prey to this confusion, transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
If Michael Knowles had said trans ideology, no one would have had an issue. That was the whole argument, was you should say gender ideology. Gender ideology should be eradicated. It's disgusting and degenerate and satanic. Transgenderism, which is the condition of being transgender, is not. And there are people who are like, well, but this is what he meant. Transgenderism meant the ideology. You're reading too much.
I'm confused
This
by
guy's
PF here.
Yeah, this guy's saying such a bullshit argument. He's trying to pull out these little bits. It's like, oh, he didn't say exactly this. He didn't say this. This is a conversation between two guys talking about what they believe. They're not pulling up clips and double checking all their words and they make sure they said this thing correctly.
I think
they're getting their points across correctly, and he's just like trying to say, "Oh,"
and Michael did say it. Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, he definitely said it, but he what's the transgenderism isn't actually being transgender, though, is it?
It's an interesting argument. I think the biggest issue here is that when somebody like Matt Walsh says, we need to fight against transgenderism as even a concept, he sounds like just an asshole who doesn't care. That's his biggest problem. And it's the thing that I've brought up with his anime takes and everything else to do with him is he has such a sarcastic mask all the time that anytime he says something, you're like, wow, that guy's kind of an asshole. Like, you can agree with what he says and still be like, I don't know that you're the guy who should be saying it. I'm pretty sure you just suck as an orator.
And Michael Knowles, I think, is entirely correct. I completely agree with him. And the fact the ideology itself, it's larger than just transgenderism.
Yeah.
And just the whole ideology and the basis of it and everything behind it just is a single point to attack with. And that must be eradicated. That is an evil.
I don't want to keep watching PF Young here.
Yeah, PF Chang.
I like PF Chang's.
All right, so I went to the source, the Transgender Law Center, and I pulled up the when I hear the term transagenda spoken by right-wing pundits, I always think that they're like hyperbolizing. But when I started researching this for today, it's really called the transagenda. Like, it's actually the term they use. And to me, an agenda is like, oh, this is my agenda. Like, it sounds like something you don't want to associate with.
I'll
Maybe
clarify
goals?
I'll clarify for what Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles are more talking about here. That instead of like the literal trans agenda of these people, they're talking about more the general idea of the academics and people on the left proposing this thing about gender doesn't exist, men and women are basically just the same in meat suits, stuff like that. They're talking about the ideas of it, not literal agenda pieces of a political movement. These are the ideas of people that they're trying to fight against.
Body, so it's just
right.
Like,
yeah, but it's like a lot of different things rolled into one.
But it just the fact that it's the trans agenda for liberation.
Yeah, that is very funny. Yeah, the trans agenda
for the trans community. Like it just there's such a better way you could term this.
If I'm probably never going to be referring to this if I ever said like trans agenda, gender ideology, any of these kind of things. This is just a catch-all term for generally people on the political spectrum, like of the left, are talking about these things. A lot of different things. In terms of
a lot of different things.
A lot of different things. It's very nuanced. And stuff like that.
If gender doesn't exist, what is it liberation from exactly? Let's find out.
This is a movement rooted in joy.
It's rooted in joy.
Do you believe in the power of trans lives?
That's some bad audio balance.
Yeah,
doesn't sound right. It's like it cuts out because there's the limit doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Like they tried to compress it and it didn't work correctly.
Trans women must be trusted to lead.
We demand a world where trans people are never forced to leave our homes.
Never forced to leave our homes. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna start a doc.
You're gonna put everything up. What they would be referring to is people getting kicked out of their parents' homes because they're trans. That's what they would be referring to there, I believe. It sounds stupider when they say it.
I wanna track this. This is part of what I wanna hone in on because I think there's solutions here for these people that doesn't have anything to do with anybody saying what gender they feel or anything like that. So we're going to be keeping track of that over here in the corner.
Where indigenous cultural practices, land and body sovereignty are respected.
I think you put that down.
Envision a world where all trans people are
You want it lower?
No, no, not lower volume, but I mean put that down as a thing. They wanted their bodies to respect, and the thing before that is like their identities as native people. I'd rewatch it because I don't remember what the first what they said was.
It's written
Immediately
down
after.
here below, so we'll have it recovered. But it's even funnier than it sounds like it is.
A world where trans people are never forced to leave our homes, where indigenous cultural practices, land and body sovereignty are respected.
Wait, I spell indigenous.
You gotta pause it. It's gonna keep going. You can't type fast enough.
How do you spell indigenous? I got stuck on that word.
Dude.
Indigenous. Okay.
It's with a U. I put it in the private chat.
Indigenous.
That should be
bodies and land respected. Did you just dude me on spelling indigenous? How often do you spell that word?
I mean,
I know how it's spelled. You mean how often do you spell? I know how it's spelled. It's not because I spell it all the time. Maybe I just have selective memory when it comes to linguists.
Yeah, no, I purge all unnecessary brain cells.
Moment of their birth. A world where all trans people are affirmed from the moment of their birth.
Oh.
Affirmed from birth.
Affirmed from birth.
I affirm you.
Where the healthcare we need is readily available.
That one sounds like an actual normal demand.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that could actually be provided, even if like money costs. Ignore that. Just like actually be provided.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All trans people deserve a long and fulfilling life.
Okay.
You'll have to take that up.
Trans people deserve the freedom to thrive.
Freedom thrive.
Can't put it down.
They're gonna have to take that up with trans people. They're the ones using maids.
Yeah, I'm not the one ending their lives.
It's them.
We demand a world without cages.
Without cages.
So no prison.
These pillars are just the beginning of our demands. We invite you to do more than just ask what you can do for trans lives. Act and join us by signing on to the Trans Agenda for Liberation.
Of
Trans
course, they said,
agenda
liberation.
for liberation.
Liberation.
Oh, that's
Chat's
funny.
broken? Oh, no.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
You know, I think Hassan should bully them for saying the word like the French do. Because he did for that strawberry girl.
Yeah.
Strawberry.
That's his thing, right? Is bullying people for the way they speak.
Bullying for people for the way they look too. He's a huge asshole.
Yeah, it's funny people like him considering how awful he is.
It's because he's attractive. They don't listen to anything he has to say.
Didn't he used to be fat?
Yeah, he did used to be fatter when he was younger. By the time he was like even a adult, I think though he's already getting in better shape.
Yeah, who provides their fulfillment, themselves or society? It should be themselves. And that's the thing we need to figure out. And by we, I mean we as a country, community, whatever group you want to say. Not we as in us three idiots.
No, I will figure out how to take care of them.
Can I chat now?
But
Ask YouTube.
And hear me out now. What if there was a
hi,
personification of society? Who would fulfill it?
I don't know.
Exactly. Society.
We have agenda trans
Joker
in Espanol, so we can have a Spanish version here.
Joker becomes the thing he hates the most. A society.
Okay, pillar 1 is black trans women and black trans femmes.
I don't get it. Why are we differentiating femmes and women?
I don't get it either.
I don't.
This is the website where you're supposed to convince me that I should believe your movement, and you've just put the same word on here twice. Like femme fatale, I'm thinking women, it's right there. What is the difference between a trans femme and a trans woman?
Maybe
Serranos,
I don't know.
Michael, one of you guys get on that?
I would
mean,
have
femme would be more of an in-between. You know how they have a billion different genders? They have little intricate naming schemes for everything, like semi-bisexual, which means you're only attracted to one gender. You know that was the thing. That was
No.
that's on the gender dictionary or the gender wiki.
Whoopa, it's Political Corner Tuesday. You saw the thumbnail. This is the new thing we do. And maybe tomorrow I'll wake up early so we can all watch the UFO hearings together.
Man,
I actually am not working tomorrow for.
Oh shit.
I'm actually not working tomorrow, so I can do that.
They're trying to sound official or confuse you. Feels like the goal is to confuse with femmes and women. Use any word like that.
I would.
Is
Yeah.
Samaria.
Sumira, no, I did not see.
That's fan site.
Yeah, I figured it was. Wait, is it?
Yeah.
Really two fans?
The last one I see from you is Hey Nico. I know YouTube's been having issues today.
I had that the other day too. It didn't let me post the
Oh,
link.
that's Discord.
Oh, it's gonna hurt bad.
Yeah, that was in Discord. So yeah, the live chat. If your thing isn't working, you can go to the Discord assuming you're in there, and then you can go click the live chat button, and you can just chat in there, and it'll transport it to YouTube. I haven't seen it be an issue yet.
Oh no, we're not talking about anime tonight. Nope, not tonight, IJP.
He didn't even do reviews.
We're talking about I'll just say trans people.
Trans ideology.
Yeah,
we can say trans agenda. We can say we're talking about the trans agenda because they
talking
use
about the trans agenda.
Literally trans agenda.
Trans Agenda Liberation Front.
And it starts with black women. Black trans women and black trans femmes.
Why is that their
Where does it
first
say
color?
femmes though? Black trans feminine people. I guess what that would be is non-binary trans people that feel more feminine.
What does it mean to be trans femme? Abbreviated from trans feminine, trans femme is a gender identity. It is typically used by people who are assigned male at birth, known as AMAB, but identify more with a feminine gender expression than a masculine one, according to to be trans femme means that you identify with femininity, but you don't necessarily identify as a woman.
Holy fucking shit, they're talking about Rosado.
What?
Yeah, because he just likes stuff that's stereotypically feminine.
Holy fucking...
That is it.
Oh.
That's what
Dude,
that's what they mean
out.
is like people that are stereotypically
Hold on, it gets weirder. People who identify as trans femme are usually, but not exclusively, those who are assigned male at birth, who seek to present femininely, identify as more female than male, or have a desire to transition to look more feminine.
So trans femme women can transition to trans femme to be more feminine.
Apparently.
So I can just be a black trans mask then?
Well, you need to put on blackface first. Are you willing to do that, honey?
You know, no.
No.
I hear that shit's a pain to get off.
Crossdressers, cosplayers, and makeup wearers. Maybe is drag no longer a performance? Is it now a gender?
I feel like this is literally just a way to say
this is kind of just generally what the left does is they take all these like tiny little subsections and they want to group them in and make it cohesive with their ideology.
No, but that literally just that means that anyone is trans.
Yeah.
Fucking anyone.
But the thing is, that's why they drag gay people, drag performers into being trans. It's because they're a subculture that kind of looks close enough. So they're like, okay, so this is what you are now.
Why do we even need the Q in LGBTQ? We already have the T, which encompasses all.
That's true.
Yeah, apparently. Why is there only one like on this stream?
YouTube's censoring us.
Yeah, YouTube censorship.
Yeah,
everybody leave a like.
This is the only way I could get a video that's my channel's under attack.
You have to make a channel's under attack video after you make the Ava video. How's that coming along?
It is actually coming.
Yay.
But you know what? Now, after reading that, I understand now that Bridget is in fact trans. They won.
Yeah, they opened up their
because everybody is trans. So,
exactly,
yeah.
because it's a word that means fucking nothing to these people.
Beloved home vision. Trans people, we demand a movement that honors Native American, Alaskan Native, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, Asian, Indigenous, Black, and migrant transgender, gender nonconforming, non-binary, and two-spirit peoples by centering their leadership, Indigenous or immigrant We understand that our relationship to this land that is our home is as important as our relationship to ourselves and each other. We demand a world where indigenous cultural practices, land, and body sovereignty are respected, where trans people are never forced to leave our homes, and where we have the freedom of movement to seek out our own belonging.
So open borders
Bitch.
nonsense.
Bitch, shut the fuck up and go to the store get some milk.
Where are trans people like forced to leave homes? I think the only one I can agree with would be parents kick you out. They're like, not in my house. You're 28. I ain't paying for you no more.
The only place they have an argument at all is when they kick minors out of their home, I would say.
Can they just
Yeah,
say
that's
anything but white? Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't be kicking your minor children out of your home. But if your kid's over 18, I don't see why they shouldn't be looking for a job.
Yeah, like, if we have decided legally correct that you were supposed to care for your child until they're 18.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like, this is the number. And where we have the freedom of movement to seek out our own belonging. Where do they not have the freedom of movement? I don't. I just don't understand.
Like, would
how
they be
vague
referring to
this
the
is.
fact that kids that can't leave their homes and
Kids that can't leave
and
their
shack up
homes?
with this 42-year-old man that wears a dress?
If they
No,
buy
it's
a
not what they
plane ticket, are
mean.
they stopped upon boarding the plane? Like what? They're like, I'm sorry, ma'am. We noticed on the X-ray you've got a big old danger down there.
I mean,
oh
they'll
wait,
have
there's
to
a learn more
investigate.
button. Click the learn more button on it. Maybe it'll explain.
And a lot of what it seems to me is the fact that they're kind of incorporating open borders nonsense into this, where that we shouldn't police migrants at all, that people should be able to move freely between borders. It seems like they're trying to connect that to this as well.
I think the biggest problem is that their first foot forward is a bunch of nonsense that you can't comprehend. So you have to actually read more.
Well, and here is the
Lib left wall text.
Forced migration is violent. Colonization and genocide of indigenous people and the enslavement of black indigenous people of Africa to enrich the coffers of Western Europe and the United States are examples of forced migration and a pattern of violent Western imperialism that has robbed us of our land and culture around the world. What does that have to do with
trans
pants?
people? This has nothing to do with that.
Guys, there's a safe exit.
What does that do?
If I'm too triggered by this, I can safe exit. It just takes me to Google.
What? It's garbage.
They gave you an eject button.
Oh, that's true. But Jesus, this is such a terrible, terrible writing quality. This is what happens.
Was trans.
This is what happens when you employ diversity hires to write your media.
ChatGPT wrote this for them.
Yeah.
Based on a Twitter ramblings. Intergenerational connection and lifelong care. Our communities are only as strong as our relationships and care for trans people of every age. We envision a world where all trans people are affirmed from the moment of their birth and are empowered as their authentic selves at home, at school, and in public life. All trans people deserve a long and fulfilling life. We are building a movement that values the beauty of youth and elder wisdom and understands that aging is nothing to be feared.
Maybe it's because their care is like a lifelong fucking thing you have to go through.
Yeah, but moment of birth, okay?
Yeah,
are we all familiar with the John Money study?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, anybody raise your hand if you don't know the entirety of the John Money thing.
I know as much as I want to know.
As I assume most people do, because this is spread around conservative communities a lot, because this is the source of gender ideology, and it's like the specific branch of Marxism, basically.
Yeah, it's the.
Okay, we got to bring up because Whoopa said he didn't. Yeah, let's go. We got to talk about
Oh,
John Money.
Why? Disgusting.
I love talking about John Money.
Do you love John
Who
Money?
the fuck is
I love talking about John Money.
I'll pull some stuff up and you can.
Hey, let's see the little Seamus cartoon, because that's usually pretty good.
The Seamus?
Yeah. Freedom Tunes, John Money, because I think that would probably be his other thing, the debunkers, most likely.
So the John Money experiments, specifically that one kid, where they took the twins. I think the twins experiment sort of
Yes.
shows that if you took somebody and stuck them on a deserted island, nobody on a deserted island from birth would have any form of gender dysphoria. I do not think that your brain doesn't know what its body is. Are you pulling something up or
me?
You drop it in the chat too. I can pull it.
I mean,
I'm looking for stuff. If like a video I'd want to play for it.
Okay.
I haven't found anything yet though, so feel free to pick up anything else.
Okay, but hear me out. What if you're reincarnated as a slime that does not have a gender?
Then you get to pick.
Yeah, like I mean, the thing is, you are a different creature. You're literally not human anymore.
This motherfucker's inhuman.
Like, Rimuru is clearly male, but he is also slime, which does not have a gender.
Yeah, and he
Or a
also
sword.
like.
What about a vending machine? What gender
People
is the
forget that
vending
the
machine?
person he had to absorb to be able to transform into a human was a girl. So like.
Also, it's not like he presents as a female, just like slightly more feminine.
Yeah, more androgynous because.
Yeah.
Obviously.
This is why I believe too many trans are swept up in social contagion. Yes, because, and we'll get to it when we start talking about the healthcare side of things. The issue with the way, like what we just read, imagine you're a teenager going through puberty and you're like, I feel funny. Maybe this is the answer. And you read that, you'd be like, well, I want to care about like native peoples. Maybe, like it doesn't mean anything because you're too young and dumb to know anything better.
Yep.
So John Money's experiment involved David Reamer, a twin boy raised as a girl following a botched circumcision. Money asserted gender was primarily learned, not innate. However, David struggled with his female identity and transitioned back to male in adolescence. The case challenged Money's theory, highlighting the influence of biological sex on identity. Summary. David Reamer, David, was born in 1965. He had a MZ twin brother. When he was 8 months old, his penis was accidentally cut off during surgery. His parents contacted John Money, a psychologist who was developing a theory of gender neutrality. His theory claimed that a child would take the gender identity he/she was raised with rather than the gender identity corresponding to the biological sex. David's parents brought him up as a girl, and Money wrote extensively about this case, claiming it supported his theory. However, Brenda, as he was named, was suffering from severe psychological and emotional difficulties, and in her teens, when she found out what had happened, she reverted back to being a boy. The case study supports the influence of testosterone on gender development, as it shows that David's brain development was influenced by the presence of this hormone, and its effects on gender identity was stronger than the influence of social factors. And when it comes to people who are like, oh, I'm in the wrong body or anything like that, where do they get the idea of being in the wrong body other than the biological hormones that are coursing through their body? And there's too many dudes with high estrogen and too many women with high testosterone to think that the answer has to be you become the other gender.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Boom.
I would say kids have actually no idea. Throwing the idea of like what a gender is to a person that's under the age of like 9, they have no idea what you're talking about. They have no understanding of what that even means. Their body inherently knows what it's going to be turning into. The body does not need to be connected to the mind in terms of just continuing to grow up and develop the body parts that it's supposed to.
At the age of 38, David committed suicide.
Yep.
It could be argued that, I mean, David went on, it's not specifically connected to the study, but he obviously didn't have a good life.
Yeah. Defining ourselves. Our bodies are our own. We demand a world where healthcare we need is readily available, and where our bodies, HIV statuses, disabilities, and viral loads are no longer policed and criminalized.
HIV statuses?
I feel like viral loads and HIV statuses aren't necessarily criminalized unless you're intentionally infecting somebody. Are you intentionally infecting somebody?
They decriminalized that, yeah.
They
in
decriminalize
California.
that?
Yeah,
Oh my.
you could just have sex with somebody and not tell them, and there's no punishment.
Oh my.
So yeah, somebody could just lie to your face in California about their HIV status, and there would be no consequence.
I mean, that's what I
Weren't
do.
we trying to eradicate that at one point? Wasn't that like a goal of modern medicine? We're like, we gotta
Well,
get
that was
rid of this.
before the vaccines failed.
Not true. It isn't
That's
illegal
not
in
true.
Canada.
Okay.
I'm glad it's still a crime. That's good. We envision a world where disabled, deaf, sick, and mad people are guaranteed complete self-determination and resources to live their fullest lives. We demand the freedom to define ourselves and our futures free of non-consensual procedures and gatekeeping. Okay, you're telling me that you want the ability to have sex with people with HIV
Oh, sorry.
and
Oh, yeah,
potentially
you're
give
right. It's a
somebody
misdemeanor.
HIV.
I'm sorry.
But
what the fuck
you're
is
so you're
mad?
demanding freedom for yourselves, but what about freedom for other people who don't want your HIV? What about their freedom? Does that matter?
You're the one that chose to have sex with them. You knew what was a possibility. What the fuck does mad people mean?
I have no idea. Let's Google it. It's all caps too. MAD people.
No, just the first one. First letter's cap.
Oh, it's just the first? Oh.
Fucking illiterate.
Mad Pride is a mass movement of users of... Okay, somebody with mental issues wrote this. Mad Pride is a mass movement of the users of mental health services, former users, and the aligned, which advocates that individuals with mental illness should be proud of their mad identity. Mad Pride activists seek to reclaim terms such as mad, nutter, and psycho from misuse.
Oh yeah, nutter.
What? Like, I always laugh when that commercial comes on when I'm watching like YouTube, and it's like, people think with schizophrenia or what the hell,
So yeah, HIV got reduced to a 6-month misdemeanor in California.
People think that with schizophrenia, I can't have any friends, but I can. Like that commercial, I think it's so, but it's for like a schizo medicine. So the idea is like he actually is getting treatment. This sounds insane.
So yeah, that I would consider that basically nothing. 6 months is kind of insane. It should probably, in any place that has it that short, should have it raised.
Oh, you're talking about if someone gives you a fucking
be raised massive
HIV? Jeez.
Yeah, I think a 3 to 8 year sentence, which was originally their felony law, makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
You're literally forcing somebody, like, if I had the ability to give somebody allergies, like you're forcing somebody into long-term medical needs for the rest of their lives. Like that is asinine.
So yeah, that's why anybody that gives children genital mutilation surgery should probably be prisoned.
I am so concerned if these people
Yes,
have
it was
actually,
charged as attempted murder, yeah.
Like if you want to be all for the mentally disabled, I love my retarded brothers and sisters. They are wonderful. They are doing their best. They are trying their best, and they are succeeding. People that have mental diseases that cause them to react violently, to harm others, to not understand right from wrong, these kind of things, they need to be in their own little compound. We can't have them in a functioning society. If your neighbor just walked in your house every day and grabbed something out of your fridge, that's not cool. We don't just let him self-determine his way into our kitchen. We also defend our own future and ourselves and our land and our bodies and say no.
Wait, Vertex, that's me, though.
We keep our gates.
But they just like me. They're just like me.
Maybe they're just like them.
Why do you live in a gated community, Blaine?
I wish I'd lived in a gated community.
I wish I had the money for that.
Yeah, I don't, because I hate HOAs more than I hate the trans agenda.
Dude, HOAs are so fucking annoying.
If only mental asylums could come back. There's a couple schools. There's one way up north that their school mascot is the Sentinels, because their high school is right next to an insane asylum, and like it was
God, I
the
wish it-
barracks for the guards.
God, I could wish I could ship off all the retarded people to insane asylum.
Or at least just give them a compound. We got enough land. Let's just ship them into the desert. We don't need to like padded room them. They can have plenty of room to run around and have fun.
No, they're gonna become Mormons. Then it's gonna be a real problem.
Oh no!
They're gonna they're gonna violently force Mormonism on you. You see the Vita Carna stuff I linked before?
No, I didn't see the Vita Carna stuff.
Oh, you should check that out sometime. We should check it on the end of this stream.
Yeah. Okay, this one was funny. Trans people deserve the freedom to thrive. We demand a world without cages. We envision a world where people in sex work economies have rights and protections, and where sex work is no longer used as justification for violence and harm. We demand not only freedom, but active community support in building lives for ourselves and our families on our own terms. Everyone in America has the freedom to thrive. Do you have the ability? Not always. Do you have the freedom to? Yes. There is nothing stopping you from thriving. Whether that means getting that bag, having a giant family, whatever your thrive is, everyone in America has the freedom to thrive. You can use the tin snips that are in the third drawer of the toolbox, in like the skinny long drawer outside. If not there, I think in the tiny drawer to the right, there's gonna be tin snips.
Okay, so but the outside.
It's in the outside toolbox, yeah.
Is she making a gunpla?
No, she needs tin snips. She's doing some gardening, so she needs to cut the gardening wire.
The blackberries.
Yeah, No, I eat the blackberries with a frickin' a tiller. I just kind of go through it. Yeah, everyone has the freedom to thrive. A world without cages.
That's cool, DR.
Is it cages for...
It's prisons. They're talking about prisons.
Is it just prisons? Did you
Pretty
go in to
much.
learn more already? Let's see.
I'm certain that it's just prisons.
Oh, avoid arrest. Decriminalizing sex work. Okay. But it's prisons for sex workers. We'll leave it there.
Can't we just give them their own prison where they're forced to do sex work? Isn't that better?
What about Prison Island? What if we just have like Escape from LA? We just turn LA and New York into two little
Why don't
prison
we
colonies.
just
Why don't we have a
reactivate,
retarded battle
Australia?
royale?
That would
just
be
ship
awesome.
The bad ones to Australia again.
Again, yeah. They would like it. They would
When was
welcome the
being a hooker
refugees.
justification for violence? When she didn't pay her pimp, I would say.
We can even do like we can just airdrop guns everywhere, so it's like Fortnite in Australia.
At my age, sex is work. The biggest counter to this whole second part of sex work economies having rights and protections, the problem is every time that sex work is allowed, trafficking occurs.
Yeah.
Like where have we allowed sex work that we haven't also then had to follow up with like, well, man, there was a bunch of trafficking into this country or this state or this area. Like you're like, oh, well, I want to do my OnlyFans, but then it leads to at least to other people getting hurt. Why do you need this freedom? Why is this the work you need? Some chick posting her nudes online, while I may disagree with doing that from like a moral standpoint, this idea of like sex work, of like, it's never just like, oh, I post sexy pictures online. It's that we want sex work all the way down to like hookers and stuff. Trafficking in what way? Human trafficking, slave sex trafficking. Romania, yeah, the Tates in Romania. Kidnapping and selling the victim for sex. That is trafficking.
Yeah, MLS chat did not pop up.
Oh, did it not?
I guess it doesn't want me saying mentally insane.
That probably makes sense. Demand the Biden administration implement the trans agenda for liberation. Okay. So that was the funny one.
Or maybe my chats just aren't going through.
They might not be.
I thought I saw a couple of them.
Ever since we allowed
No, it
OnlyFans,
was
the
just the
highways have
YouTube.
been crowded as fuck. Stop trafficking. Those Jinx want to be trafficked from Hitmon Tate. Has to be a cameo. I've been working a lot and getting up very early in the morning. Well, we love the cameo. Oyasumi. Even Romania criminalizes sex work. I wasn't bringing up that one. Somebody else was bringing up Tate. But here's the let's see. Do.
What are you doing?
Doing something.
You're like clicking a pen.
It's not a
Yeah,
pen.
it was important work. Okay.
Play Fire Emblem.
Harvard Law and International Development Society. Does legalized prostitution increase human trafficking?
Yes.
Human trafficking leaves no land untouched. In 2013, the U.S. Department estimated there are 27 million victims worldwide trafficked for forced labor, commercial sex exploitation. So we have some base levels here. 2012 study. The studies analyzed cross-sectional data of 116 countries to determine the effect of legalized prostitution on human trafficking inflows. In addition, they reviewed case studies of Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland to examine the longitudinal effects of legalizing or criminalizing prostitution. Studies' findings include countries with legalized prostitution are associated with higher human trafficking inflows than countries where prostitution is prohibited. The scale effect of legalizing prostitution, i.e., expansion of the market, outweighs the substitution effect, where legal sex workers are favored over illegal workers. On average, countries with legalized prostitution report a greater incidence of human trafficking inflows. The effect of legal prostitution on human trafficking inflows is stronger in high-income countries than middle-income countries because trafficking of the purpose of sexual exploitation requires that clients in a potential destination country have sufficient purchasing power. Domestic supply acts as a constraint. Criminalization of prostitution in Sweden resulted in the shrinking of the prostitution market and the decline of human trafficking inflows. Cross-country comparisons of Sweden and Denmark, where prostitution is decriminalized, and Germany expanded legalization of prostitution, are consistent with the quantitative analysis showing that trafficking inflows decreased with criminalization and increased with legalization. The type of legalization of prostitution does not matter. It only matters whether prostitution is legal or not. Whether third-party involvement, and this kind of makes sense because when Washington State legalized marijuana, nobody really cared about like, oh, you can't do it in public. They don't care about all the little sub-laws that actually go along with it. They're just like, oh, illegal now, and they just, oh, illegal, and they want to like make their own and sell it and all that other stuff, with ignoring all the things. So that makes sense that people are just like, oh, it's legal now, so I'll just buy this trafficked person. Democracies have a higher probability of increased human trafficking inflows than non-democratic countries. 13.4% higher probability of receiving higher inflows in a democratic country than otherwise. Yeah. While trafficking inflows may be lower where prostitution is criminalized, there may be severe repercussions for those working in the industry. For example, criminalizing prostitution penalizes sex workers rather than the people who earn the most of the profits, pimps and traffickers. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is kind of like arresting the bread because the guy brought it to the store, but at the same time, how else do you stop the guy from bringing it to the store than remove his ability to make money off it?
Yeah.
It's a complicated issue, be sure, but you can't rule out either legalizing or decriminalizing without looking through the details. I recommend you look through this study, find some other studies, but the basic premise is one of when you increase the demand for a thing, you increase the illegal supply of the thing as well. It's you can see it in a lot of stuff. Like there is my friends that were potheads in high school didn't stop having a local dealer just because it was legalized in the state. Yeah, it is a sad thing that happens. Are you guys ready for transequality.org? Just mute Mike.
No,
Mike can mute Mike.
What happened?
Mute your mic.
Fuck you.
Okay, here's the national agenda. Throughout the U.S., increasing numbers of transgender people are coming out and trying to live safe and productive lives. Too often, they face discrimination, harassment, and violence, resulting in unemployment, homelessness, and negative health outcomes. Okay, we got unemployment, homelessness, and negative health. Policies listed in the state and local agendas below have the potential to dramatically improve people's lives in addition to being simply matters of good government. NCTE's theory of change includes the belief that we must work in concert with all communities who face discrimination, violence, or limitations on opportunities because of race, nationality, class, religion, ability, and other dimensions of identity. Dimensions of identity. That's a funny way to put that. It's not a bad phrase, but it is a funny one. For example, policy changes focused only on our identities as trans people will not be enough, and disproportionate poverty among trans people. Oh, to end disproportionate poverty among trans people, we must join with others working to challenge economic inequality itself to ensure that people of all backgrounds have real opportunity to participate and succeed in American life. You believe false positive being taken into a mental hospital is a much smaller issue than a significant amount of issues chronically homeless people cause. Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument would be, what is the negative that happens if you take somebody in as a false positive for a mental health issue? You would just need some sort of like law that says, if your job or something sue you or fire you, you're allowed to sue them. Or if they like kick you out of your apartment because you're gone too long, you can sue them, that kind of thing.
Well, I don't know what you've been in a mental hospital for, Woopa.
Yeah, you were.
Like, I don't know anything about your case. Like, how could I possibly comment on that? Yeah, my argument is yes. Like, assuming that you can take care of yourself properly, I would generally put it under false positive. I'm not exactly sure your situation, but
yeah,
the actual problems, all the people we would have had in mental asylums, all these homeless people, stuff like that.
The mad people,
Christian.
the ones that are like
The mad people.
Yeah,
like
the ones that are screaming while they're punching cars.
Yeah,
like
these insane homeless people that we just keep on the streets causing like untoward damage, like disproportional. Like, you know, the idea how like a small minority of the criminals commit a lot of the crimes. Like, that's the 80-20 rule in anything. That's how it is with homeless people, too, in terms of mental health issues causing problems, like leaving these people on the street.
So this agendas page doesn't have any... This link takes me back to this page. Oh, here we go. Non-discrimination generally. One big problem here is the state regulates walk-in shelters to death, while homeless people can't get into shelters without being on food stamps. Yeah, there's a lot of issues when it comes to homeless. We can do homeless next week if we want to cover that. That could be interesting.
It's not like there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah. Non-discrimination generally. This sort of goes with one of these other ones, but I'm just going to put it down here because it's general.
No, most of the people in mental hospitals are younger people that are suicidal.
Yeah.
Or like middle-aged men are suicidal. That's generally what it is.
And
when I talk about mental hospital,
we tried to take him to a hospital, but they didn't have any beds.
Also, I'm saying mental hospital more as a general, not literally just being taken into mental hospital.
Those people in mental hospital aren't screening people. Yeah. Okay. Implement a policy of non-discrimination for city, county employees, including sexual orientation and gender. So they just don't want to be discriminated against because of their
Does that actually show up on YouTube?
Gender.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say the bot can't put all of that in YouTube. So you can post it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Most people with mental issues are more dangerous to themselves than others, but you will have the violent ones.
Well, largely, yes. That's true, yes. Largely, they're more of a problem to themselves.
And I almost feel like we've made mental issues too big of an umbrella. Like, if I say mental issues, that could be somebody who is suffering with depression, and it could be somebody who's a schizophrenic sociopath. They're in that same umbrella, unfortunately, and maybe we should shore up that umbrella so that we can say people that are working on themselves and people that can't fix their problem.
Yeah, and honestly, I agree with Vertex. Like, he has stuff you can't see, but it's on the live chat in the Discord because he didn't break it up because it's way too much. It's way too verbose to type it in YouTube. You should probably put this in the politics and drama, like copy paste all your stuff over so people will be able to see it after, because the live chat auto like hides.
Yeah, I can. If you leave something in the live chat, I can find it, but I don't think anybody else can find it.
No. That's something worth talking about, yeah.
Here's the issue with non-discrimination generally, is it goes from non-discrimination to transgender inclusive discrimination.
I understand what you're saying, Woopa, yeah. And I know. Yeah, there's people that will... Because I know about the history of mental hospitals and or like just asylums. I guess we can call it asylums. I'm talking mental hospitals in the same vein. Asylums, people do get abused that should not be there as well. And I do think overall, even if it's not morally right to be doing so in terms of like freedom, it is a better result.
Oh, you're going with a pragmatic utilitarian approach?
That is a utilitarian approach, yes.
What about my idea of
what was yours?
Live stream battle royale?
I think that has far more moral issues, actually.
Hey, Sitch wanted to just give him free drugs if they were in the house, but in order to
if you want to talk seriously, that's obviously far more morally corrupt and evil.
I mean, I don't know. I've seen them do their punch fights. I think just giving them a place to do that. Yeah, bum fights was literally filmed down in Tacoma. So when I give them a place to bum fight, you know, they obviously love it.
Whoopa, that would be you. We'd throw you in there too. You don't get off.
Be down his battle royale.
He's trying to get out of the asylum, but we throw him in.
That's how you get out of the asylum. We have a battle royale
you gotta
every
win.
year. Whoever wins gets out. Addressing employment beyond written non-discrimination policies. Ensure that job centers and job training programs are serving. How? Respectful treatment of transgender job seekers or trainees. Take specific action to combat transgender unemployment. Why not just combat unemployment? Train staff annually at human rights, civil rights agencies that investigate discrimination. Okay. Addressing housing beyond written non-discrimination. This is a really weird, like, way to go. Like, I don't know that we've ever done this. And have we done this in history?
I mean, you have to... The idea is that you'd have to do extra affirmative action, right?
So I think the idea is, while there isn't a law or there aren't policies that specifically allow for discrimination, that people are able to discriminate. But that's what people do. Like, everything you do every day is a discrimination. If you want to get, like, really weirdly autistic about it, you'd be like, oh, I discriminated against toast this morning because I wasn't interested, but it seems
Yeah.
very like I don't know how we're talking about like we were with the previous part. How do you legislate it? How do you try to legislate beyond written? Very, very strange. Find and plug the loopholes.
Since we are talking politics today, I would say that there's plenty of areas that I'm not pro-freedom, and there's very much limits to freedom in certain ways that I believe I'm not very libertarian, no.
Yeah. You and your anti-freedom around here.
There are freedoms I think that should be curtailed in terms of benefits. Curtailing, very much like transgender topics we're talking about, I would be in favor of curtailing the freedom for people to chop up their genitals because I think that is a pure negative. That is my perspective on it, yeah.
What if they
that perspective extends into other areas as well. What'd you say, Michael?
What if they do it, but it's really funny, like as a comedic purpose?
It's a bit.
Yeah, they do it on stage, like Dave Chappelle takes somebody up there, and then just starts chopping at him.
Yeah.
Just has somebody tied up and hung up,
like
strung up
circumcision live.
Today, I'm performing a circumcision. We're going to be taking these choppers up to his nutsack here. Oh, I went a little bit too far down. I guess he's going to have a hard time having kids next year.
God. There is a balance that we play when it comes to freedoms, right? Like even libertarians have the limit of your freedom ends where my freedom starts.
Although I wouldn't call that even a limit. I wouldn't actually even call that a limit because that is just like straight up directly superimposing yourself onto somebody else's freedom. Like that is very much like we talked about before. Is like my perspective is that advocating for anti-free speech is not pro-free speech. So like allowing people to not advocate or like specifically advocate against free speech is not a free speech position.
Okay.
Obviously, mine's a little more authoritarian. Most people say like, yeah, you can say we're on. You can say that we shouldn't have free speech, blah blah blah. And I would have a slightly different perspective on that. Yeah.
Yeah, free speech. I'm way more open than you are. I think. I'm okay
definitely.
with the guy saying, I don't think this speech should be spoken. I do think we need to collectively shame them if they try to call the manager. But
I think we should be fairly open with speech. Yes. But I'm more talking in principle of what is free speech. Am I okay with somebody advocating for like, oh, we should not have free speech? Yes. I'm okay with somebody saying that, yeah, in terms of being allowed to say it.
And like,
yeah,
speed limits are like an imposition on your freedoms, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not full profanity, just definitely not utilitarian.
You're an anti-utilitarian, Whoopa? That sounds like we need to curtail your freedoms.
It's important to know how far you go. I think a lot of people don't really think through that, which, you know, we can get to with the trans movement. They're like, oh, yeah, we should take care of people so they stop trying to kill themselves. And that's the farthest they think through this. They don't really go deeper into what it means or what the end result ends up looking like. And they don't identify where the borders of their thoughts really are, because they're scared. They don't want to go against it. All right, health. We have remove.
It's the risk they actually kill themselves. That's the threat.
Keeping you from killing yourself is not my responsibility.
No, but it's never just you. It's like, oh, you don't want us transitioning your child? Well, I guess you're okay with them dying.
Yeah,
generally that's how it's applied. Yes.
I don't think my kid's gonna die because you couldn't transition them. I don't think that's a thing.
No, but that's
I think there's a better chance that they would kill themselves if they can't transition your kid. Like that's. I think some people are that weird. Like you see some people's reactions, like you were talking about having a nervous breakdown about being a busser. Your job is to show up with a black tub, fill it full of dishes, and walk away. If that's nerve-wracking to you, like what's wrong?
From what I heard, he literally might have just been having a bad day and then like took it out on someone and quit on the spot. Because what sounds like it was
Okay,
literally
that's a
just
little
this
more
dude
What was
funny.
like,
what was reiterated to you like about?
so the
like,
dude
how
was
he
like
quit
having a hard time folding
washing?
like no, he was a busser. He wasn't a dishwasher. That's why I'm
Oh,
pissed off
okay.
about this. So he got to fold the napkin with the fork and knife in it, right? And he was
whatever
struggling
that
to do that
is, yeah.
because like we were out of almost out of napkins.
Mhm.
So it was kind of hard for him to pick up the napkins the way it was positioned since it was like almost empty. And so one of the waiters comes over and he's like, "Hey, dude, if you just take them all out and put them sideways, it's so much easier to like fold it." And he's like, "I didn't need your help. Fuck you." And like just got up, went to this other waitress and was like, "I quit. I can't do this because of this guy right here." Like
That sounds
the
like
way
a
it was
bad
told
day.
to me, it was literally just like this dude was having a horrible.
Was it Brownman? Was he a Brownman?
No, he
Do
was
you even
white.
know?
He
He's
was
white.
white. Yeah.
Did
I
he?
never
Was it
saw
because he
him.
was racist though? Do you have a lot of brown people to work there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
so
do.
he was just racist.
I don't think
that's
he
how
was
you
Oh,
know.
that
racist.
explains it. Yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
just racist. He couldn't stand being around all these other brown people. It made him angry and furious that these people had jobs and that they're earning money. He couldn't
Yeah,
deal with
you
that.
found the racist in California. You did it.
No, everyone's like he might have been autistic because he's like not one of the younger people working there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too. Is like I trust the older hires a lot less. They usually seem to be less reliable.
Well, yeah, because they know what they're able to get away with.
My uncle
Yeah.
had a dishwasher who was a gold medalist at the Special Olympics.
Oh shit!
He was the best damn dishwasher you ever had, wasn't he?
Exactly.
She was the best.
She's the
She
best
wore-
damn dishwasher
she-
you ever.
Every Special Olympics season, she'd wear that medal every day for like a month.
That's pretty based.
Dude, she was great. It was hilarious. All right, health. Now, this health is a little more understandable from an outside perspective. than
Actually
the last one we
understanding what
read.
they're talking about, yeah.
Yeah,
You mean it isn't just a bunch of buzzwords that mean nothing?
correct. And it looks as HIV as though it's a problem.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's our bar. Thinking HIV is a problem means that they have an okay grasp of healthcare. Remove any transgender health exclusion in city, county employee health care plans and replace it with affirmative, comprehensive coverage. Why is transgender health care excluded? Do you guys know?
Because it's optional.
Because you don't need it to stay alive. It's not health care.
No, but
Oh,
if
but
I
it
don't
helps
do it,
my
I'll kill
mental
myself. I'll
well-being.
kill
No, it
myself.
doesn't. Let's fix your mental well-being.
I'll do it,
Because
I'll kill myself.
I have had people in my surrounding friend group who have transitioned.
Oh, you want to talk about Endo? I got stories for you about trans people
They
I've talked to,
didn't
man.
get better mentally.
Under 100%, boys.
There was no change. And the argument will go that we still live in a world where they are discriminated against and
shit, I
people
tell
don't
you.
like them or whatever. And it's like, then why did they spend all the money? Like, now they're more poor and gone through all of this other bullshit and they got weird hormone things going on, so even more emotional. So you just tagged problems on top of somebody who already just kind of hated the fact that they were like a wimpy dude. Rather than just addressing the idea of being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable in your body, being confident with who you are, identifying things you do want to improve or not improve or about yourself, and move forward with things that will actually make your life better, eating right, working out, sleeping well, for me, having a good spiritual connection, right? Like a good social connection. There's your 5 pillars of a healthy life. Some of you will argue there's only 4 of them, but I think that 5th one is really important. But you address these, and
We'll talk about spiritual politics later.
you don't need to go transition. You save all the money, you save all of that, you'll be way happier. But instead, you do this thing that doesn't result in what you want, and now you're even more upset because you failed as a dude, and now people won't even call you a she because you're still a bro, Like, you just stuck yourself in an even worse place socially and mentally. It's not healthcare. It doesn't help people.
Vertex is actually completely correct. Yes, this is that could help a lot of people.
Sleeping, possibly apnea, need a CPAP if you aren't breathing well at all. In order to know you need a CPAP, someone has to listen to you sleep.
True. And that's
My
very
wife
annoying.
and I are always, like once a month, we'll do a check where we make sure the other person's breathing well in their sleep. This kind of thing, they're not snoring, they're not doing
That
this.
sounds
because
kind of gay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super gay. Me and my wife making sure that we sleep well.
Yeah.
No, one of you staying
No,
up
you just
while
like
the other
staying up,
person
staring
sleeps.
at them, caressing their face while they sleep.
That's the gayest part of my life. I
Yes,
think
it
I'll be
is.
good with it.
Oh no, Blaine, that's just the tip of the iceberg here.
That's just what we know of, okay?
I just want you to know.
Blaine, we've talked about many things before. There's a lot of aspects of your life that are kind of gay.
A little fruity.
I'm wearing an anime girl in a race car on my
Yeah,
shirt.
that's another 2 points there.
Sleep is the most underrated, overlooked problem with people deal with today. The slumber corner. The slumber cuck. You don't
People
get to
would
sleep
rather
that night.
browse
You just have
TikTok
to
for
watch.
3 hours than get a good night's sleep.
True.
Oh.
That can't be stated enough, man.
I've done that before.
Yeah. Yeah, like our Michael, very own Michael here. He watches TikTok instead of sleeping, and it makes him a worse person in 2 ways.
Fuck you.
One of
See,
which
this is
only
the kind of that is
CCP
the
knows.
rage, the problem with the system. There's a cat outside.
Why you gotta? I got cats outside.
Yeah.
I don't, you
No, it's
hear
not
me
my
shouting.
cat though. It's just a wild cat.
Yeah, we've
Those
got
are
2
wild.
wild cats.
Dude, I
One we
fucking-
call Mouser, the other we call Blackie.
Wildcats are super annoying.
No, they're
Well,
great around
yes,
here because
it
they
depends.
fight our rats for us. I don't have to kill
Yeah.
rats because
Oh,
they got
that's
wildcats.
Yeah, this one's like mostly white with like 2 large black patches on its back and like a little yellow on its face.
If you got good sleep, you'd never catch a Blaine stream ever. Thank you.
No, but the
Well,
ones
why do you think you've been in mental asylums? Okay, like come on.
Just open up your Kick app, turn the volume off, and just set it on your night table, and just let me lull you to sleep at 0 volume. That'll help.
Let Michael's ASMR let you go to sleep while he's just. Stuff like that. Yeah. That's what it was like. That's what it was like, Michael.
Yeah,
So turn off
except
your fucking
I wasn't
mic.
making that much noise.
Yes, you were.
Nah.
Yeah, I've read around 3.5 hours daily of sleep for like 20 years now. Are you feeling okay?
That's why
Fran?
Alex only cares about anime. Anime is his sleep. He doesn't
That's
actually
how he's
sleep.
able to watch it all. He's pulling a kitty bear.
Oh no, I
on
was gonna
us.
say he doesn't sleep anymore. He just watches anime.
Oh,
and
and he
just
just
sits
has
there.
like the second eyelid that closes, so his eyes can still see through it, and he can
Yeah.
basically get sleep.
That's his sleep schedule's watching anime.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Fund transgender-specific HIV, Hep C, and STI prevention and treatment services. See, there's some healthcare, but why does it have to be transgender-specific? I don't understand how you dressing like a woman or dressing like a dude changes how we would treat your HIV.
Especially since
Does the hormone therapy mess with that or something?
Also, one big
That
thing
seems
about
weird.
the trans agenda is the fact that there is no gender dysphoria necessary. It's literally just, do you want to kind of be more feminine? Well, then you're trans, and that counts.
Right. And it goes to the death of the tomboy, right? It people can't be an effeminate dude and they can't be a masculine woman. They have to fall into the transition bucket.
That's just another thing communism's destroyed.
Give us back our tomboys.
I'm being serious about this too. This is the destruction of everything. It's
Yeah,
just anti.
which goes back to
yeah.
our postmodernists, how we started this,
Yeah,
right?
deconstruction, destruction of everything that we know, and
Transgender has umbrellaed everything. Like Michael said, the QIA2S has all been absorbed into the T. So why do we even bother with the other letters? Fund transgender-specific suicide prevention intervention programs. I don't think we need it to be transgender
You're right,
specific.
Haboon. There is a difference between action and identity. One of those doesn't matter at all.
I agree that we need more funding for suicide prevention. The fact that I had a friend who went on to kill themselves that I tried to take to an official bed and we just had to go to a hospital because that's what the place said. They're like, oh, we don't have any beds, and the next place is like 10 hours away and all this stuff. Like you can't, you're not going to drive to the next state to find a bed for somebody because they don't want to go. You take them to just a normal hospital. Like we don't have the facilities or things in place just to help with that. So I don't like get rid of the transgender specificity of this and we can talk, but that also just requires people admitting that we just need to take care of people. And that I think is what like the Matt Walsh's miss is like when Matt Walsh talks, I feel like he would be happy if people were just killing themselves. Like it doesn't strike me as someone who cares that other people live or die.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, they don't care either. No one really cares.
Yeah. I mean, the rock will keep spinning, but somebody in your life cares.
Yeah.
Fund transgender specific health promotion. Do not promote transgender health. Like, if we assume for like the next 30 seconds that transgender and gender dysmorphia, all that stuff is real, you would not go around saying, look how cool wheelchairs are. Don't you want to break your legs? Like you don't take the solution like, hey, who wants a cast? You don't promote a health method or a healing method to people who aren't sick. Don't promote this to people. In our world, though, where we all agree that this isn't healthy, it is destroying working body parts. It is changing all of that. Don't promote it. Good night, Pop.
Later.
I ain't get my dinner.
Do it.
And I can munch on stream just like Michael.
Is it tamales? If suicide data is collected locally, track attempted and completed suicides of transgender individuals, including transgender youth. There shouldn't be transgender
I'm sorry, repeat
youth.
that? Repeat that one?
If suicide data is collected locally, track attempted and completed suicides. Basically, they don't have enough data to know what the real numbers are. That's why they always use the ideation term. They always say suicidal ideation because they just have surveys that they give to kids to see what they're thinking. They don't actually track people that have attempted and been saved or attempted and actually died. Include transgender people in communications about domestic violence and sexual assault awareness campaigns. Again, I don't think that's necessary specifically. We should just tell people don't be in DV situations. Require city, county-run, or funded healthcare facilities, including long-term care mental health facilities and aging services organizations, to institute comprehensive non-discrimination guidelines, including guidelines on the treatment of transgender patients or residents, and require annual cultural competence training for staff. That seems like an unnecessary thing. Needle exchange programs and other harm reduction services the transgender people disproportionately need. I forget. Is it needle exchange has reduced HIV rates, but legalization has ruined it? I don't remember. That one I'd have to look at. Provide condoms in city/county jails and correctional facilities to prevent HIV transmission. I mean, there is the meme of don't drop the soap, and we probably shouldn't allow that, but how about we just not allow it? Do we not have enough guards, CCTVs? We could set up like tasers with AI. What, like, why do we need condoms here? What if all prisoners just had shock collars and it was like attached to their penis? So like as soon as they started to get erect, it would just shock them. Get rid of bar soap, liquid only. Exactly, liquid only. Okay, so we made it through health, identity, documents, and privacy. So I don't know anyone who is trans that wants privacy. That's usually like the biggest thing they shout from the mountains, both online and IRL people. Could create a municipal ID system if transgender and or undocumented people do not have easy access to state IDs that reflect their identity. The municipal ID should allow applicants to choose female, male, or undesignated gender marker. So this breaks down to why do we have gender on an ID in the first place? Why do we have your sex on your ID? See if the internet will just tell me, so I don't have to pontificate. The gender X designation. Why is there sex on driver's license?
Why are you like this?
Some countries have religion on their ID cards. Argue about identity. Huh. Why does the government need to know your gender? Historical new rule. Oh, all these websites are like, these are ways that the government can police your identity. It's like, no, I want to know why it's on there. What is the actual reason that we have our sex on our license? And I can't Google that anymore. Special IDs for sex offenders. I'm for that. Sex in the DMV records. Why would you need a DMV record of your sex? What about driving a car or using your identification is important for that? Because anytime I've been ID'd or been in a scenario where IDing has taken place, it's always been referring to height, weight, eye color, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Also, how often do you look at your ID? Why, how old are you that your ID having an M or an F changes whether or not you feel happy? Again, we need to go back into the brain of the person and say, why is it that this little tiny government document having one letter changed is the difference between you being happy and depressed? What is the need that you need fulfilled there that you don't think you're getting without it? It just seems so strange. Country offices, social services can update the gender in their agency records without burdensome proof requirements. For vital records, absent a prescriptive state law or regulation to the contrary, use the authority of the city/county vital records office to create policies on updating birth certificates. No, okay. Birth certificates probably have an import for, and death certificates, because you need to know the actual gender of the person, the sex of the person, to apply the right kind of care to them, either as they're a baby or if they're dead, then Just having that in the system so that you know what kind of cadaver you're working with. On marriage certificates, I do think the government needs to get out of marriage except for tax exemptions when it comes to bettering society and increasing the birth rate. So I don't know that a marriage certificate specifically needs a thing, and without birth and proof requirements. Again, I still don't get this, right? Like when I married my wife, and we got everything like signed and everything, she went and took our marriage license to Social Security and the DOL or DMV and got a license that had her new name on it. Because she took my name and that's what she goes by now. Because when someone calls her, someone grabs her ID and reads it, it's sort of like what it's going to say, what she needs it to say. If she signs a document, she's signing it now. Chapman, she's updated the name, right? She didn't go change her birth certificate to have my last name on it. The rest of her life that she grew up still exists. She still had her maiden name. That's still a thing that was a part of who she is. So this need to go back and try to erase what you once were, it's very, very strange as even a want. I would need someone to explain that one to me. Schools and youth issue district-wide regulations and guidance on K through 12 on equal opportunity and privacy for transgender students. Transgender students shouldn't be a thing. I can probably skip all of this one because I've already got it over here, I think. Also, I thought it was just the, what is the Loudoun County? Is that the one where the kid in the skirt raped the girl in the bathroom? I thought it was just that one. But then I watched this person break out like 5 different cases in the last like 6 months of the same thing happening in multiple states. So I don't think telling schools to allow privacy and make things like kids are not to be trusted. They're not old enough to make these kind of decisions and things.
Mm-hmm.
They're just gonna, oh my gosh. Back in my day, all we did was like crack the Wi-Fi and go on Newgrounds. Now kids are raping each other in the bathroom. Got a link to that? Yeah, let me pull that one up. I've got October 2021, 12-year-old girl was assaulted and violated by a transgender classmate at a school bathroom in New Mexico. That's a Washington Examiner. Virginia school. Oh, he's straight though. This was May 28th, 2021. Loudoun County, everyone's heard of on that one. That's National Review on that one. You thought the Loudoun County thing was misinformation? No. Yahoo News, judge rules Loudoun County teen sexually assaulted female student in girl's bathroom. Here's how these usually get reported on. is you have such and such kid is transsexual, aka a teenager wearing a skirt, and they rape a girl in school, and the reaction is, well, they aren't really transgender. That's always what the reaction is. They get immediately disowned by the transgender community and ideology. And the fact that the world that it's set up allows for that to occur is never addressed. It's always, well, they're just a bad actor. They're not an actual transgender. And so you get these reports of it's misinformation. They weren't really trans. They were just wearing a skirt. You can say that, but it still occurred, and it occurred and happened because people don't want to tell a boy wearing a skirt not to go in the women's room. Was the Loudoun County transgender when they assaulted the girl? The report was that they were wearing a skirt when they did it. Now, were they actually transgender? Were they transitioning? Were they on any sort of hormone? Not really the important part of the story. The important part of the story is that you can put on a skirt and go in the wrong bathroom and rape a chick. The counter narrative is, well, you can do that anyway. You don't even need to put the skirt on. It's rapists will rape. They will do what they can, and they need to be found and locked up and thrown away. But as a rule, bathrooms need to be based on plumbing. I don't understand how this is such a difficult thing for people to understand. Destiny always brings up this idea of, would you want your son in the bathroom with Blair White, or would you want your daughter in the bathroom with Buck Angel? And the answer is yes. Because while yes, a dude can rape another dude, they both have dicks and they need to use a urinal, or they can use a sitter. There's a bathroom in the Bellevue area that has like floor to ceiling doors. So like you go in and there's just a row of like floor to ceiling doors. So you have all these like little rooms. So like it works just fine. It's when you put Buck Angel in the bathroom with a girl, they both have vaginas. Neither of them can do it.
Yeah.
And the counter is, oh, what are you going to check their genitals every time they go to the bathroom? We already kind of do that. Like, that's literally what the door is indicating, is who gets to use one and who gets to use the other. For years, there have been ugly-ass masculine bitches going in the women's room, and no one blinks an eye. There's been femme guys who have, long, traditionally female hairdos and skinny jeans that have been going in the
You ever go to an anime convention?
Yeah. We don't need to look in everybody's pants to know that the system is functioning the way it should.
We could do the same thing for sports, just everybody goes to the men's room.
People will raise a shit if someone looking like Buck Angel went in the girls' bathroom.
Yeah, let's legislate based on the tiny bit of the tiny bit. Like, let's be honest here. We all know they're fugly motherfuckers, and none of them look like women. Like, that's what we're actually talking about.
Butch-looking women get accused of being trans when they go to girls' bathrooms. I don't know how old you are, but for a lot of my life, that wasn't the accusation. The accusation was, oh, honey.
Let's stop being disingenuous. We know that none of them look like women.
Even my my mom's generation, they use the term handsome woman because there's lots of ugly women that look like dudes that will get like a side eye. But guess what? They ugly, they get in the side eye. They go in the men's room, they're getting the side eye. They go in the women's room, they're not going to get away from the side eye. We already socially police this. So having it only go based on the way you look is real dumb. The Loudoun County assaulter was apparently in a relationship with the girl they assaulted. How does that change the assault?
Yeah, the school still covered it up. Like, what are we supposed to do about that?
I don't understand, Haboon, where you think the Loudoun County thing goes. But no, we go bathrooms based on your plumbing. Got a dick, you go on the one side. You got a vagina, you go on the other side. It's easy. You got a messed up John Money kid? I don't know, you use a straw. When I was in school, holding hands, hugs, and kissing would get you suspended. That's how they do even without trans, yeah. Now, there is a larger discussion that maybe we shouldn't have public bathrooms that you can, like, see a dude taking a shit. Like, we've all been in that bathroom where you're walking by and you just make eye contact with the guy in the stall for, like, that fraction of a second, and you're like, ugh. Like, why is it that there's only one bathroom in the area that has multiple stalls where you can't see people?
And why
Have
don't
you
we
ever
make
actually
stalls
looked
better?
at another man's junk in a bathroom? Yeah, I've been at a baseball game where everybody goes in the trough. What are you talking about?
I avoid that, so yeah, that's why I wait until I can take a stall with
No,
like
I'm
a half-inch
usually
gap.
too drunk to not the half-inch gap so someone else can stare at you.
Just somebody sitting outside looking
Nobody
like a
checks for
mimic.
plumbing. No, we socially check for plumbing. It's not an actual. We're not looking at people's junk. That's the point. I'm saying that you don't need to do that because we just assume that you're going in the one that has the equipment you need.
Also, the idea is that when they implement these rules, they will claim if you want to kick somebody out for being a creep, oh, you just hate trans people. And then it's like, oh, you can't kick them out now for being a creep. Like, straight up. That's what I mean. Like, that's the problem with their idea of a transgender bathroom being able to do where you feel like you should be, right?
Exactly. No, we socially check by just assuming that everybody's on the up and up. Like if you got a pretty boy in the men's room that looks like a chick, no one's checking for junk. You got a husky woman who looks like a dude in the ladies' room, no one's checking for vagina. You just assume they're in the right one. But we just make it a social policy. It's based on feelings, you disagree on that. Then what do you want it based on? I'm basing it off of social stigma and that everything should be based on the plumbing you have.
Haboon, this is the entirety of what the pro-trans agenda that we're looking at here would argue for.
I also don't think you should be getting transitioned either way.
No, the idea is like, yeah, you just go in whatever bathroom feels appropriate for you.
Looks.
That's what they advocate for, yes.
But Haboon, if you go on looks, what do you do with the ugly bitch who looks like a dude? Does she have to use the men's room now?
Yes.
Ugly bitches have to use the men's room. And pretty boys have to use the women's room now.
That guy's gonna get RR.
No, they're okay. They're exempt.
That little femboy, he gonna get camped. He's not gonna have a good time.
he's gonna look like the Shota going in the women's only train car. No, just let me go wherever.
No.
I mean, I guess you just use the forest.
Not in public, Haboon. Come on.
At least use the toilet. My whole point is that the idea of bathrooms is like, what is the difference between a men's and a women's room? Does anybody know?
Urinals.
It's a urinal. What is the point of a urinal? Is you got a penis to pee in a urinal.
I don't know. My homeless people would disagree. I think it's used for needles and shits.
Oh, hold on, we gotta go.
Oh yeah, there's a dude who did fentanyl for a bathroom counter today.
Oh,
Holy
nice.
shit.
He's a regular. He does
He's
a lot.
regular. Oh, being a regular fentanyl user sounds insane. Like all the stories of like, you know, some kid who like, they get a bad ibuprofen.
Did you die, Michael?
I think you finally lost him.
Fuck.
That was his fentanyl.
Haboon, that literally doesn't matter. That's stupid. That's not like an argument of any kind.
Oh yeah, some women can pull their labia so that their urine goes forward. So we should change how bathrooms work. Congratulations. Did Michael drop the soap? Yes, he did.
No, I dropped. I plugged my laptop into the wrong cord and I accidentally yanked it out of the wall.
Gotcha. It's
Falling out of that chair, falling down that road.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, no, fentanyl. That's the one. It's crazy. Like we've had kids in my community die because they'll get like a bad perk, like Percogesic or something, and it's like, oh yep,
Literally
that was fentanyl.
anything. Literally anything. They will cut it with anything.
But meanwhile, like you got dudes who are like just chomping pills like they're Tic Tacs and they're fine. You're like, what the hell is wrong with you? Criminal justice and the judicial system. Develop a policy covering respectful treatment of transgender people by all city, county law enforcement agencies, including appropriate search procedures, respectful communication, prohibiting profiling based on transgender status, and train all law enforcement officers on the policy and cultural competence. No, that's a no-go.
Basically, make it illegal for a police officer to misgender somebody.
You cannot prohibit profiling based on transgender status. Because if you're like, I thought it was a chick, then it had a dick, the cops are going to use that information to find a female-looking person that has a penis. Like, I don't know how you don't profile.
I don't think they're going to be looking for a female-looking person.
Establish an LGBT liaison within the police and or sheriff's department. Wow. The Rainbow Army on the sheriff's payroll. Why? Why do you need that?
So are those cops going to be bastards too?
Are they? No, they're a liaison. They're not cops.
Yeah, but they work with them, and that's kind of their idea too. Is like if anybody works with a cop, then you're also part of it.
Also, we need to defund cops, right?
Yeah, because you're part of the system. If you work with the system, you should be opposed entirely to police.
This reminds me of like when the Ukrainian war first started, and there was all the LGBT war memes. The bright pink tank and everything.
I don't see that chat.
There we go.
Oh.
There were just some funny ones because like everyone, the whole Ukraine had everybody all flipped upside down with what they wanted to believe, and you had all of the lefties that were like, "We gotta go fight."
Big brouhaha about sending our guys over.
Yeah. I'm gonna volunteer. It's like, you hate guns, but I love defending against Russia. It's like, why? Who are you?
Kidda, has anybody complimented you on your transition?
Don't be mean to Kidda.
I was wondering if anybody had made that before, because that's like, that's definitely a joke to use against trans rights activists. It's like, congratulations on your transition.
Oh man, no, Kidda has a whole series of photos, where, like, I don't know who found them, but somebody found a bunch of snips where she looks the most like a 14-year-old boy. It's so funny. Was that Andrew Clark? Who found all those? Establish a strong civilian oversight system / board to monitor and address law enforcement's excessive use of force, profiling based on all characteristics, and other violations of the public trust.
So this isn't even connected to trans stuff either.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Most of this stuff in this
all.
entire document actually they'll throw in like trans people doing, and then they'll have like this other thing that's the actual overreaching, like demand they want, like this giant demand for the police department and how it's going to change. It's not connected to trans people.
I feel like they should have added with regard to trans people at the end of it, but like, I'm for civilian oversight for excessive use of force. I don't want cops killing civilians for no reason or beating them or whatever excessive use of force happens. Profiling based on all characteristics. I'm okay with profiling. I don't understand why profiling is such a negative. Does everybody just think that profiling means this is the criminal profile and anyone who looks like the criminal profile is the person that I'm going to arrest? Or do they think through like, oh, I don't know, that guy with the shaved head and, torn sneakers, and carrying a sleeping bag, and running from the person who says, that guy just flashed me, probably might be the person. Like, I don't understand. Why is profiling bad?
Lucifer, you need excessive force to even feel anything from somebody else in bed, I'm sure.
No, he just doesn't want to get in trouble for the excessive force of gravity that he uses in bed. And any other violations of public trust. Yeah, that's sort of a catch-all dumb line.
Lucifer, if there's like a 5'3" woman on your back, would you even notice?
I mean, it depends. How
normal
tall is
weight.
Lizzo?
Normal weight.
Okay.
Yeah, normal weight, like a normal weight woman, like 130 maybe, 5'3". Would you even notice? Like, no. I don't think you
Develop
would.
comprehensive policies dealing appropriately with transgender adults in city, county jails, and prisons to ensure fair treatment as well as to reduce sexual assault. Again, we can reduce sexual assault by grouping by plumbing. We don't want to be precogs. Yeah, but is that what people mean when they say profiling? Is that what they keep saying? Whatever. Provide training on these policies on cultural competence. Cultural competence? It's a prison. They're in jail. These comprehensive policies should include screening, housing by gender identity. Isn't that the problem? Isn't housing by gender identity literally the problem? They prohibited automatic or prolonged segregation.
Woo!
Wasn't there that story previously where that
That's a BLM policy, by the way. Yeah. Segregation's good, actually. That's BLM.
July 18th, July 2022.
Can you imagine how much more diverse prison populations would be if they were full of drag queens? Really makes you think.
Transgender woman impregnates 2 women in prison, now fears for her life. This is an opinion post. Why is this an opinion post?
Well, she might not be the father. It's hard to say. Details are unclear. Motive remains uncertain.
Do we believe in NBC? NJ trans prisoner impregnated 2 inmates transferred to men's facility. Yeah. How is based on plumbing? I don't understand why this is so difficult. If you got a bunch of people with knives, put them all in the same spot. That way they have the knife fight. You don't put the knives and the guns together because that would be unfair.
And what if we just castrate all of them,
there is a part of me that still believes in restorative justice, okay? Don't don't. You know, I'm not gonna let you blackpill me on that. Develop comprehensive policies dealing appropriately with transgender youth in juvie. See above. Youth being disciplined or arrested for self-expression. Hold on, you mean tagging a wall? What do you mean? Who's arrested for self-expression or for self-defense in cases of abuse? When
they get arrested when they're protesting because they're throwing piss balls at people.
Depending on the level of self-defense, I feel like jailing is... Ugh, I hate it. I hate it, but I feel like it makes sense. Because you don't know that it's self-defense until self-defense has been proven. Because self-defense...
Are you writing this down, Blaine?
...is a defense. No, because these are... What these go with jail, right? And we already have World Without Cages. I can... Unless you want a separate line for it.
I was gonna say, like, there could be some funny stuff you could throw in there. Just like a...
Eliminate the use of long-term solitary confinement in correction facilities, which disproportionately affects transgender prisoners. Wait, so transgender prisoners spend more time in solitary? I'm sorry.
You mean in the average female prison population?
What is the...
Why would that happen? Can't imagine.
Percentage of... Yeah, right. Percentage of transgenders in America. UCLA... 5% according to Pew Research in June of 2022. 5%. So are they saying there's more than 5% that end up in solitary? Like, how many people end up in solitary? I feel like if one trans person ended up in solitary, they could throw that percentage way off. So I would need to see numbers behind that one before I cared. Where's the diagram? I am the diagram. Deprioritize prosecutions involving nonviolent drug and sex work. Again, what is with all these people wanting sex workers to just run around? Because, like, nobody is arresting an OnlyFans chick. When they say sex workers, and it's in regard to, like, prisons and arrest, it has to be prostitutes.
Yes.
Why does everybody want prostitution to be legalized? I don't understand it.
How else are the trans gonna get sex?
Oh my god, I hate that. I hate that so much.
Do you not see the connection here?
I do, but I really hate that.
No, you gotta decriminalize prostitution.
Okay.
Because that's a different thing. We haven't mentioned that. Because I mean, that's exactly what this is. Decriminalize prostitution is one of their demands.
Yep. Use any discretion to be able to send people to alternatives to detention and diversion programs, seek lower sentences, increase access to bail and pretrial release, use probation and parole as much as possible to reduce incarceration. I mean, I'm for reduced incarceration as like a concept, but when I say that, I mean people who are showing signs of being able to be reintroduced to society. I'm not talking about
this is just
lowering the
like,
number.
Bog standard leftist bullshit. Like all this like legal stuff is like the normal legal stuff they always ask for.
Yeah. Very little of it. Other actions. Okay. I don't care about your other actions.
No, that's it.
All right, we made
it.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Is like all that stuff is just like leftist stuff. It doesn't have anything to do with like trans issues, like barely at all.
So there's the agenda. Here's an issue. An issue is aging. Only transgender people have the issue of aging. Transgender adults face profound challenges and experience striking disparities in areas such as quality of health and access to healthcare services, mental health care, employment, housing, and other areas of livelihood. Research reveals that many transgender elders routinely encounter both a healthcare system and a national aging network that are ill-prepared to provide culturally competent care and services and create residential environments that affirm the gender identities and expressions of transgender older people. Learn more about the key challenges and policies affecting transgender older adults, resources for supporting trans older adults, and your rights as an older trans person. Man, out of the corner of my eye, this picture right here kept looking like, is it Meat Locker? What's that animation studio you always send me that's all creepy looking?
Meat Canyon?
Meat Canyon, yeah. This looks like a Meat Canyon face.
Come, join us, be one of us. And Flash Gets is a little bit like that, but not really. It's not Meat Canyon.
Yeah. No, Meat Canyon, they did a
He's special.
A Steve Harvey one recently that made me giggle.
Oh, you like that one? Yeah.
That was again, they're just constant crescendo, which I find kind of strange, but it was a little bit better. Okay, so they get old, aging. But what aging is a problem, but they want a long life.
Don't know about that one, Chief.
Anti-violence. Extraordinary levels of physical and sexual violence, whether on the streets, at work, or at school or work, at home, or at the hands of government officials. More than 1 in 4 trans has faced a bias-driven assault, and rates are higher for trans women and trans people of color. NCTE is working with anti-violence groups, women's rights groups, racial justice groups, and federal and state law enforcement agencies to combat anti-trans violence. This effort cannot be limited to just transgender.
This came from the same place as like college rape stats. Their ass.
Well, let's. There's so much to unpack, right? 1 in 4 has faced a bias-driven assault.
So far
Does that
more
mean
than
1
that,
in
yeah.
4 people were slapped? When
No, they are
somebody found
saying
out?
this
Like,
is just like 1 in 4 people have been misgendered because they take that as violence. They count that as violence.
right. Like the severity of what is
Somebody
occurring here
being
seems
rude to them
important.
is what they would count under this for like their ideas. Like they felt seriously threatened. They would call that like felt seriously threatened or endangered by somebody's speech, and they would count this under violence.
Okay, here are the numbers. By the numbers. These are the number of... We honor those taken from our communities. We celebrate their lives. We root ourselves in the collective resilience across America. Systemic violence. Over the past several years, extremist politicians, these actions have consequences. They're going to do and stuff. I need to know, are these people who are getting murdered, or are these people...
Oh yeah, the people getting murdered are prostitutes.
It says lost
by the way.
to violence.
Also, yes, the people talked about in this study are people that are murdered, and the majority of these were prostitutes, black prostitutes.
It is 30.
Yeah, by far, most of them are black. And guess what? Most of it is black on black crime. Why? Because a dude hired a prostitute, and then it turned out it was another dude.
Gun violence.
And that is where it came from, yeah.
So... Oh, there's actually a Two-Spirit on the list. So we have 47 people. How many prostitutes were killed in 2022? Violence against prostitutes, Jack the Ripper. No, I don't. give me a stat. 204 out of 100,000. That's just a rate. I need to know the number. Rates. Why is this all rates? This isn't useful. The rate doesn't help me unless I know how many there are, but we don't know how many there are, so how can you give me a rate? That's not super helpful. Hey, I wanted to know how many total prostitutes were getting killed. We could compare it to this total here. The other question with this too is how many of these are just people that were shot, right? Like 3 years ago.
It says 31 of these people, yeah.
Well, right, but not even to do with who they are, right? 3 years ago, I was at a gas station and a dude just started opening fire, right? Some people could just get shot by that dude opening fire. Last week during the Taylor Swift concert in Seattle, I think 5 people got shot through various riots because all the cops were busy trying to corral the Swifties. So there was no patrols going. So there was a whole riot and everything that happened. So like people just get shot. Now they just like, oh, this person got shot and they were trans, or is it like specific to like trans violence? Like someone who's like, I hate you because you're trans. Like this seems like a tiny number, and also B, I don't know that it's actually a useful number at all. Like I'm anti-violence against the people for me. Employment, we've talked about employment discrimination. And how you should be discriminatory of the people that you're hiring because you need to make sure you're hiring the best. Anyone who's trying to hire will pay attention to how a person carries themselves and everything. Strong families. I still don't understand what I'm supposed to do about you having a strong family. It's school shootings when it's a bad drug deal 2 blocks away from the school kind of stat. Yeah, exactly. The school went into lockdown, which makes it a school shooting. You can't just give me a list of these are all the trans people that died this year, and it's a list of 41, and it's not super long and not really informative. Health and HIV. I love that HIV is just like a part of oh, you're trans? Let me educate you on HIV.
Well, I mean, because most of them, like most people put under the umbrella are gay men.
Housing and homelessness. 1 in 5 transgender people in the United States has been discriminated when seeking a home. Probably not true. How many of you were just turned down but because you didn't have a job?
Let's see the rate of unemployment for trans people. Bring that up.
1 in 10 have been evicted from their homes because of their gender identity. No. Proof. Citation needed.
Yeah, no evidence, no.
Hold on.
No stat.
I've been Googling everything else. Let's see. Evicted for being trans. Oh, look, it's the web page I'm looking at. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, hold on. The first hit on evicted for being trans is the website we're looking at. It says 1 in 5 transgender people. Next one is PBS saying the National Center for Transgender Equality says 1 in 5 transgender have been discriminated against. A tenant is evicted after the housing provider discovers the tenant is a dated person of the same sex identifies. So this is your HUD protection. This is how you would go about suing the landowner, landlord, based on the Fair Housing Act. So if they learned a thing, this is how you would do it. Realtor refuses to show houses. Won't take you there. Leasing manager. Unlawful. Housing provider may not refuse to rent to otherwise qualified LGBTQ family with children under age 18. HUD's equal access rule, protection for sexual orientation, gender, and marital status. Yeah. Oh, I had to learn all of this stuff when I was a real estate agent. That was a long time ago, but basically everybody's money is green. That's what I learned. Tenant rights, non-discrimination laws, news. LGBTQ activists or advocates booted from Texas Capitol as gender care is debated. Okay. Socialist shoots officer during eviction. Oh. Hey, let's read this one. We have an eviction here. No thanks. I'm just gonna pause you. You're loading it out? Okay. A now deceased transgender socialist seriously wounded a Seattle detective with the King County Sheriff's Office in a shootout while officers delivered a final eviction notice in Washington State on Monday. The flurry of gunshots occurred at a Ballard apartment complex and ended in the suicide of the transgender evictee, who was born male. All three detectives will likely exchanged gunfire with the evictee, who went by the name Eucydus or Yusi, before the evictee died by suicide via a gunshot to the head, according to the Seattle Times. Detective David Easterly was injured and taken to Harborview, where he went into surgery as of Thursday night. He is in critical condition. When was this? March 23rd, so a few months ago. Further evidence indicated that all three deputies probably returned fire, according to the news release. The Seattle Democratic Socialists of America confirmed Eucydus' death in a statement on Tuesday, claiming the eviction was a form of systemic violence. Although we do not know the exact circumstances of Eucydus' death, it is indisputable that the inherently violent and traumatic process of deputies forcibly evicting a person from their home was a key factor. What about them paying their rent? I don't... I'm not going to pay my rent. I'm going to start shooting. Like, cops don't just pull their gun. I've seen evictions. They show up, they knock down the door, they pull you out. They don't go in shooting. We deeply regret that this eviction ended with gunfire, injury, and death, regardless of who initiated it. DSA supports peaceful mass resistance against evictions. DSA also said that evictions often lead to desperate homelessness. We remember the life of Lucy, who's been killed by his unjust system. 2 other detectives involved in shooting would place administrative leaves. Okay.
So basically, regardless of who starts it, because they don't want to say that, oh yeah, that person definitely started it. They started opening fire on the cops.
This is the biggest issue with the Vosh rhetoric. What's the fucking term? There's an R. Stands for like speech. Rhetoric. This is the biggest problem.
You're gonna say Redditors?
With the Vosh rhetoric of you're being murdered. They're killing you. They're coming for your rights. This is you need to arm yourself and they're coming for you. It's literally right-wing conspiracy, governments coming to take your shit propaganda for the left. It is giving people who are, we've already talked about it, they're dealing with issues, they have this mental and wellness that they think they can fix with this, but it never fixes it.
They have HIV, man. They have HIV.
And now they have a gun, and they put themselves in these situations where they're going to get evicted. This is not the recipe. This is not the recipe for happy, healthy people.
Situation. It wasn't their fault. It was the system's fault.
Do you know what the saddest part of all this is? Trans people do not have a Bible that's correctly translated.
Got the chip. Stop evictions, cancel the rents. Get off my property. What is this? This is October 9th, 2021. Jay Williams came home to an eviction notice last week. The single page stuck to the door of the Las Vegas condo they have called home for 7 years stated that Williams and their wife have 30 days to vacate. I don't sleep very well anymore, Williams said. We owe a ton of rent and might get kicked out of our house. Is this just because the government made you stop working? Because this is 2021. This may not be super useful. Yeah, where are evicted from a hotel, evicted from a motel room?
Hey, there you go. They're probably camping out in there for like 2 months.
2020, Christine Albinger was kicked out of her flat because she is trans. I don't even know what RNZ is. Does anybody know what RNZ is?
Nope.
Christine Albinger was kicked out of her flat because she is trans. Final notice was the subject line of the email sent to Christine
Can't be New
Albinger just
Zealand,
before
can
1
it?
o'clock on a Monday afternoon. It was from her flatmate who owned a 3-bedroom house in Auckland's Birkenhead. Christine rented a small room with a little balcony and a sliver of sea view. There's no greeting. I think we need to know that William told me that he felt you found a safe place to transition, and I have to say this is a big issue. It began so without being offensive. I need to be honest. Although I don't have issues with transgender, transsexual, transgender, etc. In general, I don't want to be any part of it in my house. Oh, so she's like renting a room from somebody.
I assume
she
you
or
have
he?
substantially less protections when you're subletting.
Yeah, almost none usually. How is this a cornerstone of this like housing and homelessness, but they can't show me anybody?
They don't show you anybody because it doesn't exist, because all of their examples look bad.
All of their examples are people that couldn't get a job because they had a emotional breakdown at work and then they can't pay rent.
They couldn't take being told how to do their job and just quit.
Right. Is this only documents? I still don't understand documents. Complicated, sometimes prohibitively expensive. What's prohibitively expensive about getting your license changed? You have to pay to upgrade your license.
It costs $10 a
Oh
man.
my gosh. I had to pay $400 for my tabs. And then, because I have more than one car, I had to pay $200 for the
Australia,
next car.
actually.
And then I had to pay $800 for the next car. That's just to have vehicles that roll around the freaking streets. What do these people do?
Yeah, you think these people have cars?
Why do they have driver's licenses then?
I mean, you gotta have a driver's license.
You don't actually. You can get an ID card. Those are cheaper.
But you gotta have a driver's license.
Immigration. The United States immigration system touches the lives of millions of families, including transgender immigrants. Transgender immigrants come to the U.S. for many reasons, including seeking safety from persecution in other countries. According to UCLA. Okay. This is the one that I might give them because I do think that our immigration system needs a radical retooling.
Yeah, my imagined like ideal immigration system, we wouldn't allow any transgender people to immigrate because there's no reason that they would want to.
Old fascist Serranos over here.
I'm not a fascist. I don't agree that hard. I'm not going to be killing
Just
everybody.
authoritarian.
I
You're
may,
not fascist.
I may just be
just
paying.
authoritarian.
I may be paying for people to leave. It's all that there is. I'm just going to pay them to leave. Come on.
No, I actually believe that while you need a system that's doing some form of background checking and verification, I think it should be much easier to go from country to country in this modern world we live in, and that a lot of the holdup is just a holdover from an older time. Boo, such a long day ahead. It's all right.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, sometimes we might have to evict a Woopa from the country. Like, that's how it goes sometimes.
You're so cringe with this discussion. Thanks for being here, Alex. I feel like you're lasting longer here than when I play Fire Emblem. I don't care about international.
Alex
because
hears us play Fire Emblem, so he's around for that.
No,
Oh yeah, he watches the streams fully.
Nice.
It's just you.
Alex loves it when we talk Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Like we could talk about Risotto right now, and he'd love it.
It's estimated that over 134,000 American veterans are transgender and over 15,000 trans people are serving in the military today. Support for transgender veterans has improved, but they still face barriers from obtaining updated service records that do not out them as transgender and from receiving VA coverage of necessary medical procedures. Again, I don't know if they're necessary medical. And how many of these, like, people are fighting for necessary medical and then don't do anything? Like I said, there's people in my like outer bubble at the fringe of my friend group that have transitioned, where they actually are like doing hormones and that kind of thing. But when I'm walking around town, I have met more people that are just rolling out of bed and saying, I'm a lady, and all ages, all sizes. And it's just, they just pick. They're just like, this is what I am. How many people are really fighting for healthcare? What do they mean by fighting for healthcare? It's not healthcare. It's actual damage to your body. Non-discrimination laws, police and jails. I already wrote that one down. Travel? What? Hold on. Many Americans have been disturbed by decisions of the transport TSA to implement airport screening procedures that are far more intrusive than anything previously seen in the United States. These techniques, which often include aggressive body searches of passengers, present especially serious concerns for transgender people who cannot be outed against their will or face bias and harassment. So the concern is that they're going through the TSA and the agent finds the hot dog. Is that the concern? Sign my free booba petition. Signed. Why is there somewhat of a correlation with trans and autism? I don't get
regardless
that.
if you're male or
You're
female.
ignorant
I
on
agree
that.
with that. That is a freedom we should have.
We can see if there's studies on that, DR, to actually get more interesting data points. My assumption, based on everything I've heard, is someone who is autistic goes through puberty and doesn't feel the same sort of social connection as someone who isn't autistic and going through puberty. And so because they don't feel those sort of love connections, and this may happen more with autistic women, and that's why we see a higher rate there, that they then fall into the, well, why don't I feel that? And then when they go online, they find this kind of information and they say, oh, well, it must be because I'm not attracted to men, rather than taking a look deeper into what's actually going on, or not taking a deeper look at all because you're a kid and you'll get over it. You'll be okay. Haboon, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. It was wonderful. You had some great additions to the chat. I think we were able to really parse out some things thanks to you. But as far as, can I say that definitively? Not without looking at every case through some kind of study to know what were the increased rates of autistic people ending up in the transgender community. Does it correlate to, like, what are their reasons for getting into it without sort of doing like a self-assessment on that? It would be hard to really dive into that too much. So
we watch funny videos now.
These people just hate pat downs. Almost. What's up, Ghost Yo over on Kick? How are you doing?
I'm sure Kick audience. Oh man, I'm surprised we haven't had better audience capture over here. Kick should be loving this one. Hey, here's a funny video. I don't know if you saw this one.
All right, we can do a funny video first.
This is a trans freak Popeyes from a couple years back.
We're doing good. We're having fun. We're calling out some problematic issues in our world today. And then we're gonna get into. I've got the article that you posted, some sports stuff. We'll get into the personal, the gender dysmorphia, the acceptance, interactions legally and sport-wise.
Be mindful of other people and stop being a fucking scumbag, and you're a liar. I heard you. Stop fucking gaslighting trans people. Wait, what? Did you call me sir again? What was that? You said goodnight, sir? Alex, I'm gonna be talking to corporate about you, you motherfucker. Fuck you. Okay? That's bullshit. You don't fucking harass trans people at work. Yeah, you did. And I'm walking out and you're like, have a good night, sir? What the fuck is that? No, you don't fucking do this to trans people. This is discrimination. No, this is discrimination. I'm fucking done with it.
Just call him a fuckface. Maybe he'll be happier with that.
You fuckwad.
all right, good night, fuckwad.
Sorry, fuckwad. I'm not gonna fuck your bonus hole. I'm not interested.
No, I'm gonna talk to corporate about this. You don't harass trans people. Hey, you know, it's one of the stupid things when you're catching Karens. You called me sir, and you're talking shit, calling me sir on the way out. This is transphobic harassment. You're a fucking.
Oh, they'll
bigot.
show you what they look like. Don't
All right,
worry.
Alex, you know what?
Oh, good.
I can't wait to just. He admits twice calling me sir. No, you lied about the first one. No, you called me sir twice. Twice. Yeah, but you shouldn't be fucking harassing people with slurs. It's a.
Who is the, like, from the start of this conversation, who is the harasser? You shouldn't be harassing people. Yeah, you shouldn't.
Slur. Do you not understand? It's like if you call the person of color the N-word. Don't fucking.
It's like
You
calling
did
me
on the
the
way
N-word.
out. I don't care. I have the right to be pissed about it. You fucking did. You fucking did, you liar. And I'm gonna hold you accountable. Cis people need to be held accountable for how they treat trans people.
Oh, he
Go
wants to use a slur.
away.
Also, yeah, he could just leave at any time. There's nobody's
Cis
blocking
people
him.
need to be held accountable for how they treat trans people. Let's see the trans army rise up and do something about it. I don't like. What are they planning? Where does this mentality lead? Where does this get you? Do you have a better day after this? Oh my goodness.
And I'm not gonna put up with this shit anymore. You're crazy, bro. You're fucking. Don't call me fucking bro. Stop
crazy,
fucking throwing
bro.
slurs at me, you fucking.
Bro is a term that is a non-gendered term. You gotta go. All right, have a good one, Ghost Joe.
Literally says bro once, gets louder.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. Have a good night, sis. No, fuck you. I ain't your
He said, "Have a good night, sis."
sis. I ain't your fucking bro. You don't even fucking know me. Oh, you want to flash games?
You don't even fucking know me.
All right.
You don't even fucking know me.
Yeah, fuck your ass. Oh, suck. You want to talk about sucking dick now? Why is it that you fucking weird cis people are so obsessed with sex? You have fucking discrimination going on, and your brain goes to fucking dick sucking. Don't fucking call me sir. This is.
This manager should not have waited this long. Like, I realize that she's probably like terrified of this like roided up dude, but like she needs to step in and be like, my employee, back of the room. You out of here.
Yeah.
This is transphobia.
We
Right here at the top.
Yeah,
you know, you heard blasphemy, motherfucker.
Also, you know, if a person puts a hand on like a fast food worker, that whole kitchen can come out, bro.
There's good jumps.
I talk about it all the time, man. Don't
Grandma-
mess with people in kitchens.
No, that's true.
Bad idea. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Their hands are like oven mitts.
I mean, Michael, how many ex-cons do you have working at your place? I have 2.
At least one.
How
Well,
many
maybe
people
three. I
are
think it's
actively
three,
doing
actually.
whippets in the back?
There was
ready
one
for the
who
fight.
was like, there's this dude who is like, yeah, these kids, they come in, they try and fuck up the bathroom, and he's like, yeah, every time they do that, I walk up to them and fucking threaten them with gang members and shit.
Oh, you like to? He just comes at him like the booty warrior. Oh, you like to be violent, do ya?
No,
some
but
booty.
honestly, like,
Oh,
I had a lady come in at Jamba Juice once when I was like
the
team
drinking
lead
water.
at the time, and she was like getting super pissed off at this one guy because he touched his hair or something, like while he was making smoothies, right? So I was like, dude, go to back, just take a minute, go to back, come back in like 5, okay?
Yeah.
And then she kept getting pissed off with a different person, and that person was gonna fight them. Like she was a complete bitch, and she was willing to fight. And I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, you guys.
Even if they
where
throw
is
the first
this
punch, you
Jamba?
can't do it to a woman. Well, it's in California.
I was just like,
Yeah,
no, you
equal
also need
rights.
to go. Like we're fucking packed house. This lady's yelling at employees, and I have to be like, both of you, please.
Oh,
go
did
to
you
the
already
back.
have this one, Blaine, or that's the one I gave you?
This is the one you gave me because
Okay,
I brought this up of surgery not resulting in actual happiness. That everyone's like, oh, if we just give trans people surgeries and
affirmation, blah, blah, blah.
affirm them, they'll be happier. And it's like, no, that's not how this works. Like, obviously,
what if it
people will be like, oh, well, we have to wait for the long-term study, so it's longitudinal, and we can figure out, like what the actual regret rates are. What's the regret rate on knee surgery? What's the regret rate on, like, nose jobs? What, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, a third are left incontinent. I feel like if 1/3 of people that get their willy whacked can't use the bathroom anymore, at least that many are unhappy with the surgery. This is July 2023.
Also, isn't incontinence the fact that your bowels just open up and release?
Is it you can't control?
No, I'm pretty sure incontinence is the fact that it just does it and you don't control it anymore.
you can't stop it. It's just always going.
Yeah, just poo just comes out.
Just poo.
You can just search it real quick. I'm sure it'll show you.
Yeah, one of the first studies into the effects of transgender surgeries has revealed alarmingly high rates of post-op pain, aching during intercourse, and bladder problems, raising troubling questions for this new frontier of medicine.
Yeah, having no or insufficient voluntary control over urination or defecation.
81% of those who had surgery on their genitals in the past 5 years said they endured pain simply from moving around in the weeks and months after under the knife. I mean, that's kind of obvious.
Yeah, that's pretty normal for
It's
surgery,
the
period.
incontinence that I'm more concerned about here.
Yeah.
One of the first studies on the after effects of trans surgery revealed alarmingly high problem rates. Pain with sex, 57%. Could not control their bladder, 30%. Felt an urgent need to urinate, 30%. Underwent physiotherapy after surgery, 24%. High percentage reporting musculoskeletal pain, pelvic floor dysfunction. That's not good.
No, that's not good at all.
We literally lost a pregnancy in my family because of someone's pelvic floor. That is... Whew.
Basically, what's happening there is the bones don't go right, and that's very bad. Especially since that's the entire core of your body. That's the very center of your body. When that's not working right, it's gonna mess everything else up. That's why all these people have pains everywhere else, because they're doing a lot of surgery down there, pulling muscles, blah 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 blah, and that makes issues, or that causes issues. There shouldn't be anything else like that on there.
Okay.
Besides, it didn't show anything.
I don't know.
It's literally just people, and there's nothing there.
Neo vagina. Neon vagina Evangelion.
It'll show a different little stat here. Yeah, this is not from the same study. This is a different thing from the pro-trans position. Yeah.
Being trans improves life 77%, or is that 77% of people report initially being happy?
Also, apparently 62% of these people prefer non-binary.
16% perform surgery. Wow. Well, of course, it's only 16%. If you're looking at 62% that are non-binary, that's the problem with this damn umbrella being so big.
Yeah, it's like they say 77% of people, 62% of these people didn't even consider surgery.
Huh.
Like 62% of these people never had the idea of that. They just had, it's just literally the character for them.
What happened to the lost pregnancy? Baby died, and it was very sad for the family. I don't know what else to say there.
It says that was 151 trans quote-unquote adults, but again, 61% of the people just said they're non-binary.
Yeah. Surgery is rare. Ugh, don't show me. Oh, damn it.
Well, I told you there's no more chopping. You could have looked at it off stream, too.
I could have, but I didn't.
Toronto's idea sent me something I'd watch on stream that I did pre-check before I went on stream.
I see. Bad mumble. No, very, very, very sad. We had the cause of a miscarriage was a pelvic floor issue. So
stop being a true scum, kidda.
You can't be trans if you're not either gender. You're supposed to want to be the opposite of what your body is. Otherwise, what are you transing to? But also, let's talk.
Yeah, that's that's part of what being a true scum is. Those people, a true scum is like, they would call that like TERFs. They would say like, oh, you have to actually have gender dysphoria to be trans.
Oh.
And the trans movement is against that. Because most of them aren't gender dysphoric.
Okay, let's talk about gender dysphoria as a thing. This is all going to go pretty fast. We've kind of touched on most of this, like with the autism and just confused kids, but and with John Money and all of that, where it's like not being comfortable with your body is normal. It is a thing that people feel. It's why people work out. It's why some people have develop issues and overeat. It's why people get sad. It happens to everyone. And the solution to not being happy is the 4-5 pillars that I talked about earlier. Sleep, eat, socialize, work out, and then spiritual. You do those things, and like your entire life is gonna just kind of suddenly make sense. You're not gonna have these like, oh, I hate that I have a penis. If you're sleeping well and you're making friends and you're doing all this stuff, because what is it you want the penis for? What is it that actually, like, at the end of the day makes you upset that you have a penis or that you have a vagina or not a penis, right? I'm ignoring for the time being the AGP because that is a whole can that I don't know that I don't think somebody who has AGP or was it autogynephilia? Autogynephilia. That it's when you imagine yourself as a woman during sex, and the idea of being a woman is like sexually gratifying to you, and
it is a fetish, and typically it develops from overusage of porn. That is the most common way. Yes.
Interesting. I don't think that there is a way to make that person feel better about who they are. I think they fall into that fetish territory like a furry, where until they do it, they're going to have that sort of inkling. So I think that's a totally different thing to think about. But I also don't think that somebody who has AGP is at risk of killing themselves. I just, anyone I've talked to or heard from or listened to or read about that has AGP, they never sound or seem like they have suicidal ideation. It just sounds like they have this desire to look this other way.
From my personal experience with that, in terms of the trans people who are just porn addicts, usually they're pretty depressed and have pretty shit lives. And they're usually pretty open about... Yeah, they're usually pretty open about... Actually, not like specifically shit lives, but usually they feel like shit. They actually generally have totally normal and average lives.
Maybe my 4 rules would help.
Yes, usually they have totally normal and average lives, but they're very... I could speak for at least 2 of them specifically, that they very much just are lacking in... like one of those pillars you're talking about is like, yeah, they're just missing something in their life they don't have.
Yeah, and the biggest issue is that we look at this mental thought process of, I don't like the way I look, or I don't like this part about me, I wish this was different, or I wish I was another way. And rather than address that and help you come to terms with loving yourself, and then moving forward and improving your life, or you have like, life is about having this really weird balancing act of being comfortable with who you are, but also wanting to improve your life. And you can't be uncomfortable with who you are while you try to improve your life every time. But sometimes you can use that to pull yourself out of a hole. Some people can make it through that. But at the end of the day, you should come to grips with like, here's where I am and here's who I am. That's okay, and I'm going to get better. You need to have that second step in that process, but it's just so important. And that internal acceptance is the first start of not needing a full trans identity. And then the second step is the one where suddenly your perception of yourself isn't good enough. I have to perceive you that way. Your driver's license has to perceive you that way. Everyone who says your name has to use the right pronouns. Everything that interacts with you in the world has to interact with you in a way that affirms this idea. We saw that one affirmation from birth. The idea that you're always, from the time you're born to the time you die, everyone around you is saying you are this thing that you think you are. And that just doesn't work. Like, all day, we can make fun of people who have the, they read the cover of Think and Grow Rich and never read the book. And they're like, oh, if I just think about money, I'll get money. And it's like, that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. You don't just think like, oh, I am this way, and then just makes it happen. Everyone in the world, plus all your documents saying that this thing is a thing, doesn't affect you internally. You need to actually internalize your self-acceptance and bring yourself to that point of like, here I am, and I'm going to like improve my health. I'm going to improve these things about me, and I'm going to make sure that I care about who I am. That all has to be internal. And so much of the trans movement is saying, you have to respect me. You have to tell me who I am. You have to tell me these things in order for me not to kill myself. And it's like, your life and your not killing me or killing yourself is not my job. That's not me. I have my own life. I have the life of my family. I have the life of the people around me I care about. And even then, life of people that I care about are not mine to control, right? A lot of people are like, oh, how are you doing with losing your friend? And it's like, at the end of the day, it was his choice. It wasn't my responsibility. We can't do that. We can't take the responsibility of other people's lives on us, and yet we're forced to, with the way that the ideology is sort of trying to force and impose that onto us. And it's just, you're never going to get somebody on your side by saying, you have to do all of this for me. What are you going to do for me? What does me, like, what perk do I get from accepting other people's self-ID? Nothing. Doesn't lead anywhere. If we look at the data, it looks like they're still just as sad, and there's still a potential of them killing themselves.
I mean, really, the big thing about it is the fact that you're never going to refer to somebody by their pronoun when you talk to them.
You know, and what we do is we use like group terms, like, okay, brah, or okay, dude, sure thing. Like, there just aren't female versions of that, though. So, like, I don't ever say that and have, like, a female friend be like, I'm not a bra. It's like, we're not in middle school. People
I'm
get
not
what
your
you
bro,
mean.
dude.
Yeah.
But I'm not your bra.
It's you cannot be healthy mentally and expect the world to always cater to your needs. We use pronouns to talk about people who aren't in the conversation, and the pronouns also help us sort of talk about who they are, what they look like, that kind of thing. Legal protections, because that kept coming up in what they're talking about. We've talked about some of the legal. I think the biggest legal is that they keep asking for not just to not be discriminated against, but to be actively helped by the law. And I just like, no, you don't get to be helped by the law because you think you're a thing. You called Corden dude last night when he farted on my stream. That was a good fart. Sports. Dude is not a word for a husband unless there is rage. So, I have this whole time been under this assumption that sports typically, like, I don't think there is a men only rule in the NFL or the NBA or the golf open tournament, but there is a women only rule for the women's categories. So why do we have these female only spaces? Why do we have these female groups? Because women on average don't do physicality as well. Certain ways that our hormones cause our bodies to function lead us more one way or the other. But apparently in swimming, they're getting an open category.
Oh, did you open up the boys versus women thing I got for you?
I do. I have that one as well. But the in swimming, it'll start an open category that includes all transgender athletes after the body joined several other sports organizations that issued restrictions on transgender women last year. So transgender women have been restricted from women's swimming, which makes sense.
So are men allowed to compete in the open category?
I don't know.
Everyone's trans though, so
Allowing competitor. Oh, that's right. Everybody falls under trans now. Allowing competitors whose gender differs from birth sex to participate. So you have to have a.
You have to say that you don't identify.
Wow. So that happened.
Okay.
They solved it. We now have what? If there's 5% of the world that are transgender, how many people are transgender swimmers? 10? 20?
Yeah, probably 20.
Maybe.
You have to think a lot of these guys are kids. So like, you know, if there's like 3 in every high school.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Are they counting non-binary in their open category?
I would assume, yeah. Either way, I don't really care because, I mean, swimming's the one sport where you're not like at a super big physical advantage other than. I think making its own category is probably the best move because you obviously don't want them competing with girls and probably also with the boys because steroids and all that. But the idea of
you're just making a category nobody's gonna watch.
You're just making a category no one's gonna watch. And what? So it's gonna be like one race at a rally every what?
Mm-hmm.
Are we good? Are we just
I
gonna
come
make
from
rallies
motorsports, so
that
there's
much longer because you have like the 3 transgender athletes at every school competing in every race?
There's plenty of categories of motorsport that only have like 2 people that watch it in the world. I'm convinced. So I think they can find a way to find advertisers and create a successful group, but like that's up to them. They have to figure it out. You got 2 other bodies that have their rules that have laid down the law, and now you have to figure it out. Here, Serranos has shared with us the 2016 high school boys finalists versus the 2016 Olympic women's finalists.
Okay, before we say this, I have to say, I was one of the slower guys on the swim team, and I was faster than like the girl I was friends with, and she was the 5th best on the girls' side. So like, it's not fair.
And you're probably faster than all but like maybe 2 of them.
Yeah,
you're probably faster than 3 and 4 as well.
I think I was like actually beat by probably 3 of them. Like
3 of them
total.
You were really slow then.
I just build cars, kiddo, and attend events. No, see what you say, Michael, is I had a lot of extra drag in the water from my
What?
giant cock. That's what.
And you
say.
said you were the slowest of the men, right? Of your team.
Damn, I wasn't that slow on the men's side.
You weren't the
Fuck.
slowest man on the team.
No, I was probably like top 30% maybe. I don't know. I wasn't slow by any means. I just wasn't fast. I didn't consider myself one of the fast.
Okay.
You know?
So, in the 100-meter, all of the boys beat all of the women.
Yeah.
In the 200-meter, all of the boys beat all of the women. Now, again, Olympic level women, high school boys. 400-meter, 800-meter, oh, they running. And shake it down, boom, there's our split. 5,000 meter and 400. Now, 5,000 meter, we might get some shimmies here. Look at that. Soon as we extend the distance, that women's innate ability to keep breathing takes over. It's such an interesting thing that occurs.
Yeah, you just have to. That is the one category women can actually beat men in at all is in extreme long distance.
And this right here, this box among this sea of blue, and we'll keep scrolling, is every time you hear a debate online that brings up trans sports and says women aren't as good as men in sports, they're like, well, actually, in long distance running, it's like, okay, the one thing women can endure.
Okay, Blaine, but you ignored the fact that women are also really good at long distance swimming.
4x100, a little bit more coordination in the handoff, maybe, but the 4x400, the guys take over. This is an interesting.
When you spend a little bit more time actually doing the water stuff, when it's very much about the get off, the women are closer, a lot closer.
Oh, interesting. Like they hit the water with less resistance, you think?
I don't know. I would say definitely the practice and coordination matters more, but the actual kicking, like when you actually get to kick for longer, go longer, the men have a substantial advantage.
Triathlon too. That makes sense.
Also, because this is teams, when you have an Olympic team versus just the best of the best boys, it's different.
I do
because these are going to be
wonder,
these going to be schools, right? These 100 like the 4 best boys rather than the best women from a country. I would say that changes the breakdown as well for team sports.
Exactly. And triathlon too. And like if we were to take this and then compare these numbers to the equivalent year's Olympic men's finalists, like they would probably be all on top of
men would actually win in 5,000, I'm pretty sure, by a long shot as well. It's just the boys don't have it yet.
Yeah, they haven't quite juiced up enough.
I mean, like, let's just look at the men's Olympic record for 5,000 meter.
Men's 5,000 meter Olympic record. The current men's record. It's a 12:57, and this one right here in 2016. This was the women's world record right here, Vivian Cheriot. So the women's world record is a 14:26. So the Olympic men's world record is a minute and a half faster on the 5,000.
Yeah. So that's what I was talking about. It's like, when the men are older and they build up more, because the quick twitch advantage men have when they're younger, like, is substantial. But that's not what helps you for a 5,000 meter.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do very much need to grow up and to be a full adult to actually compete there.
We need to talk more about bathrooms. I have that on the list down here.
I don't really get that anymore, honestly.
we kind of went on for a while on bathrooms. Healthcare we've talked about. All right, let's look at these one more time. So according to the trans agenda of liberation, trans agenda liberation, men are incredible, #pick me. Yeah, talk more about women's buoyant fat bits, kidda. That's what every guy wants. I realized I didn't have this up. People being forced out of their homes. We could not find a trans person who was evicted for being trans. We found people from 2021 being evicted because of COVID, causing the government to want to shut everything down. And one person in New Zealand, was it, that back in 2018, their roommate was like, "Oh, you're using the room to transition? I don't want that done in my house. Please leave."
A sublet, by the way, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a sublet was told to leave. Indigenous bodies and land respected. I don't know what that has to do with trans people. I'll be honest. A lot of the trans agenda website felt very racist.
Do you still have the website pulled up?
It'll take me 2 seconds. It's on my
pull it up.
document.
I'm wondering, is it just the black trans that
They got a
the
safe
pillar?
exit.
Or are there more pillars that are just like white trans and Asian trans and all that? Or is the only pillar, because the first pillar is black trans.
Correct.
Are there more pillars where it's just like
No.
no?
About us, our mission and values. Free from designations. Trans-led organization advocating the world. Founded in 2002. They still have their safe exit. We can exit, everybody. Why? This is your history. Why is your history gonna trigger someone there and be like, "Oh, I can't read"? This is the problem. You guys can't see this. There's an exit button right here, as I'm reading their about page. When was the last time an about page was so scary to you that you were like, I can't be on this website anymore, and you couldn't find the X fast enough?
Oh wait, no. What it is for trans kids learning about this. They want to hide it from their parents. That's what it is. That's what the safe exit is.
Oh.
So people don't see them looking this stuff up.
Dude,
that's what it was.
You might be right.
No, I know I'm right because I remember this now.
Then it should go somewhere other than the Google homepage. It should go to like a Google website that's just like, "I'm super straight." Like, click safe exit. Oh, we clicked it previously. I just clicked it again. It's a funny one. Their values. Transgender, non-conforming, the people most impacted system is fight, lead the work. Liberation for everyone is both necessary. Survival is revolutionary. What? I'm sorry. Surviving is not a revolution. Revolution is revolution. Surviving is surviving. You should go to Pornhub for a super straight search. Oh, God. That would be the not safe exit. No one's disposable. Until trans and gender non-conforming migrants and black trans women are safe and free, none of us are. I don't know that anyone's ever really safe if you think about just the dangers of living with a bunch of humans. Self-determination is a right. Because of those who came before us, we have already won. That doesn't sound true. Otherwise, you wouldn't need a movement, right? Like, if you won, you wouldn't need a group, an agenda, and a movement. Tell me about your financials. Audited financial statement. Opinion. Blah, 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 blah. I should probably just... Oh, here we go. Current assets. $20 million in cash and equivalents. That's their liquid. Investments of $1 million. Contributions receivable. $4 million. Other receivables, total current, 25 mil. Total assets, $25 million. Now, grand scheme of things, got a lot of people that may not actually be that big of a number. Liabilities. Total liabilities of $1 million and your total assets are $25 million? What is the point? Total liabilities and net assets. Are they a 501c3 that's just keeping cash? Net asset. Program services. Total expenses, $6 million. Change in net 7. End of year. Are you serious? End of the year, December 31st, 2021, they ended with $20 million. They went through the year, they got up to 25 in assets. They spent 6, it looks like. It says 7, but there's some like returns here that go into the asset category. So they literally just made money that year. The organization is a nonprofit public benefit corporation exempt from income taxes under the Internal Revenue Section 501c3. Founded in 2002. What does their 501c3 filing look like, though?
Okay, tell me when you're done talking about politics stuff. I have other stuff to talk about.
This isn't politics. This is tax.
Oh, no, I was wondering when I'll move on from the trans stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what else we want to talk about here.
I think that's it. My last 3 things were just sports, bathrooms, and healthcare, all of which came up during the discussion. Check the kit, chick. What the real problem, Lamau? Brother, let's get point by point, slow down. Medical org having 25 mil is not shocking. The fuck, 25 mil is nothing. $1 million in combined debts for $25 million. Sorry for you. Economics is a new thing for you, bud. Wait. No, what I'm talking about is the fact that they're a 501c3, which looks like it made $8 million. On the bathroom retardation shit still. No, I was just listing off the things that were on my list. We already talked about that previously. I just find this not very standard for 501c3 companies. Unless they're just allowed to keep holding more money in the group. That would be a way potentially. They just continue to have liquid sitting in the bank for some purpose. Anyway, I'll look at that later. You need to head out soon. Have a good one, kidda.
No, kidda, before you go, we have something for you, please.
Oh, wait, kidda, don't.
Gotta squish it.
Oh, it's a commercial. I'll let it play.
Squish it.
No, kidda, don't. No, don't leave. Oh.
That's a good one. You know, Dad, we should do this more often.
Some more often?
Oh.
Some more often?
When we start right after we start a stream, Hall Live announced a new people.
Multiple ways to generate a 501c3. They can self-generate.
Oh, it's the twins, right?
Usually a 501c3
Yeah.
with the corporation doesn't do that, though. Like maybe a member holding company, but that's pretty rare.
Alright, that's what BLM did. Please turn that
Not turned off.
What is the point of this, Stratos? What
I wanted to watch this. Yeah, I just wanted to watch this. This is Hall Live's new VTubers. We're big VTuber fans here. Your audience is full of VTuber fans. Blaine, this is an anime stream. What do you think? I like that one. You like that one? This is Yandere. This is Yandere. Like Yandere.
Yeah. I already saw a meme about the Yandere one. It's
Yeah,
very
this is
funny.
basically Hall Live X except English. Also, they're notable because 2 of the streamers are actually going to just have the same channel because that's what they did previously. They just the 2 of them streamed on the same channel.
Gotcha.
Together, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. It's the twins, right?
It's absolutely the same people.
Yeah.
They previously streamed under GoGo Nippon together. They were GoGo Nippon streamers.
Oh, I love this video. This other one you sent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can watch that one. Kidda doesn't need to stay for that one. Kidda wouldn't understand. She wasn't in
I've
the
seen
army.
this so many times.
Yeah. Kiddo was in the armor. She wouldn't get it.
They make it so clean when they're done.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, really well done there.
Wait.
Nice marking punch. A little bit of cutting oil. I don't like that they just burn through. I feel like they need to back up a couple times before they do that.
Yeah, brand new screw in there. Look at that. Look at that. It's even weaker because you just had some soldering to it.
Right. It's just, unless you got that hole exact, he now has a wall on that thread that's made out of just flux and wire. Slicky, you're gonna have to go to YouTube and get the VOD since Kick doesn't do VODs. And this is the end of the stream time. These are all the things that we learned about as we went through everything.
Hey, we also have it on Rumble if you don't want to go to YouTube.
It is also on Rumble. That's true. If you're not a YouTube fan, you want to look at it on the Rumbler.
No longer on Twitch.
Ending tonight, yeah. I did turn off my Twitch stream just so that they have to at least go find what do they call it? Off-site behavior? That's not what they call it. What do they call that? Yeah, I'll be back every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Tomorrow's going to be Waifu Wednesday, which will probably be combined with Aliens. So it'll be Alien Waifu Wednesday.
Oh, isn't the thing happening early in the day then?
Not going to follow me because I seem wrong. Well, you seem like an asshole, so, you know, we can not follow each other together. Have a good one. Let's debate sometime? Sure.
Debate about what?
Yeah, I mean,
I like to hear about your position first too. I'm curious.
If I care. Asshole for saying you're wrong. Sensitive? No. What's Lamam? What does that mean? Someone speak Zoomer for me.
I have no idea what that means.
Down to debate whatever. You can't just say let's debate and not have a thing you want to talk about.
I don't think that makes sense now.
What is the Twitch infraction for? Isn't your title the trans problem? Yeah. Yeah, we went through the whole thing today. Don't you debate here? I mean, I can debate, but what do you want to debate for?
And if we agree on things, what debate is there to be had?
Yeah, like you would have to say like, "Oh, I think you're wrong about this when it comes to the trans ideology," and then we have a debate.
I don't like
So
debates.
you can't just come in here and be like, "Tell me what you want to debate me." Like, no, that's not how this works.
Well, I think trans people
You
disagree
don't think there's
with
a
you.
mass trans problem?
They would disagree that there's not enough transportation.
A mass transportation problem.
Because they don't have cars, they need public transportation to get around. Because they don't have jobs, they don't actually own anything.
The pure fact that people use the idea that they're going to commit suicide as a reason to have surgeries performed and hormone treatments and all of this stuff, rather than addressing the actual mental issues at play, is the actual like heart of the issue with the trans movement. That rather than address the real issue, the real pains that they have going on, they go into let's just do surgery. Do I think gender dysphoria is real? Do I think that people will be born and think that they hate their penis or they hate their vagina or something like that? Yeah, that happens. I just disagree with surgery and medical to fix it. So I think people are screaming suicide in therapy to get access to surgery. What are people saying to get access to surgery? What is the reason that people don't want to deny them surgery? It always goes back to the idea of the suicidality of the trans movement. Oh, you don't feel comfortable in your body?
Okay.
Cool. I don't think, like, you start from not feeling comfortable in your body, then you get comfortable in your body.
And stop being fat and stop eating junk food. Stop drinking soda. You'll feel better.
Sleep better, eat better, exercise, and socialize.
Hire
You'll
prostitutes.
feel a lot better in your body if you do that.
I think that's what the trans people write about, though. You let people hire prostitutes, they're gonna feel
hire
better.
prostitutes and don't and don't arrest sex workers. That's what the trans movement says.
Based on the way he types, I'm pretty sure he's underage. So I think there's stuff we shouldn't be talking about with him. I think it's like not okay. Get in trouble for it.
It's off-service conduct. Are most trans people unfit? Yes. Yes, they are.
Not underage, retard. You talk like a 10-year-old. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sorry.
He said he's got a. Actually, I said he. Look at me assuming gender. Got no videos. Got no followers. Got no. Oh, you just get your stuff all set up?
Oh, that's what he means by got his streaming stuff set up. I assume then it's like
it's just
I made my
now
account
set
today.
up. Not it's going. Just got my PC this weekend. Chill.
That's interesting. I don't know. I think that reinforces my hypothesis.
That's interesting. Well, because in my life, since I've been like 12, I've had a computer.
Yeah, that's
so
about.
It's
I mean,
just interesting to me to encounter people that need to get PCs.
Yeah, I've been using computers since I was like 4.
He's 37, just like Dennis in the Holy Grail. Practice, practice, practice. Government mandated GF somehow. It's new Mike. Oh, don't treat Mike like that. All computers are able to stream. That is true. You can stream from a phone nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. You actually can.
Look, he's switching to phone. Green hearts.
I think that's good. Was there anything else you wanted to do? We're
No,
gonna do
but
the Waifu Wednesday.
We'll do Waifu Wednesday. We'll talk about it.
Actually, let's check out what time that is. What time are they doing
It's
the
at
stream
7
for that?
a.m.
I guess I gotta go to bed early, then get up for that.
Yeah.
I want to see that. It's gonna be funny.
I think it's gonna be fantastic.
I'm sure Nick's gonna be covering it too. He's just gonna stay up all night though.
The problem is it's gonna be really like boring. That's the real sad part. Is it's gonna be some guy saying,
it's gonna be like 15 minutes long.
This is the thing that you need to ask this person about. This is the person who knows about this thing. This is the thing that this person knows about. It's just it's not going to be any interesting answers. But the fact that they're talking about UFOs.
They already did this one time, though, didn't they?
It's going to be great.
Didn't they actually talk about UFOs publicly like last year or 2 years ago?
When the Tic Tac first came out, I think they talked about it, but this is sort of the like revival of all of that, like actually getting down on paper. On paper?
I wonder if they're just not going to talk about anything else. They're just going to like reiterate what they said there, and they're just like, okay, this is over, and never talk about it again.
Right? No, they might. They might. It could. Like I said, that's why it'll be Waifu Wednesday plus aliens, and not just an alien episode tomorrow. Because
okay, well I'll get up and I'll watch it live for all of you.
Yeah, I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna just have my phone activate. I'll stick it in my ear, listen to it, laugh the whole time. I really want some good Southern accented senator going, like, oh, who do we want? Tim Cotton?
We made contract with the aliens. We have sold out all of you to them, and we're going to live on their spaceship, and you are going to be human chattel.
Be frank with me. Do we have a craft? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
You have to ask this guy.
Yeah, just imitate McConnell. Yeah, just imitate McConnell.
Slow disclosure, Blaine. The big news will happen when we just scroll by on our phone and say,
Nah, that could be true.
If a doctor, parent, and child all agree with surgery, then what would you have the government do to prevent it?
Kill all of them.
The doctor would lose his license. You don't need to kill him. Just have the doctor lose his license. It's easy.
Well, he wouldn't have a license anymore if he wasn't alive.
You're not wrong. That would be a way to do it.
No, the parents also have an issue though. If they got convinced, I got to take care of them too, or else they're gonna.
Are the aliens communists?
So, are the aliens communists? Well, it's too early to say.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your night. I'm gonna go to bed so I can wake up early for the alien talks. Have a the government or yourself knows better than
I know
the
better.
doctor.
Yeah, I know better because I'm not a fucking retard.
Doctor. Yeah. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will catch you all tomorrow, 7 o'clock Pacific. Same channel, same time, everything. Talking waifus and aliens. Kampai, everybody.